All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at a lot of things today. We had a nice move on the dollar and oil because of what's happening over in the Middle East. It's, is what it is. We have to take price as it comes, right? We take a no BS approach to the markets on this channel, and we have a price is king type of attitude. So right now Bitcoin looks really good. It's breaking above the weekly range highs, which is basically just in a 4-week range, and you've broken out above that. So it actually looks good. It's very constructive. It's typically what we want to see if the bulls are going to keep in control of price action. Order flow seems to be a little bit bullish here, or at least it was in the beginning of the week. If we pull out the entire week's range here and just look at the deltas on volume, you can see how, like, for at least 3 days this week, you had more bullish deltas. That's typically what we want to see. We want to see this trend continue as the weeks goes on in Bitcoin, if we are anticipating that Bitcoin is going to go a little bit higher. 72K is nice, as it did on the Coinbase exchange, print 59.9 on the lows from 5 weeks ago. So yeah, that's a pretty good move. We'll see if that continues, obviously, as we go. But coming into today, my bias is a little bit more on the bearish side. Deltas are positive here, so it's not coming from stuff that I'm seeing on the Bitcoin chart specifically. Like, let me pull up the session volume profile here. You can see how the session volume profile for today is pretty much midpoint of the current day's range. Now, obviously, if Bitcoin has a pretty nasty down day today, or just a couple percent even, you're going to have a larger move to the downside. Then that would make the point of control look like it's at the top of the range. But obviously it can work in the opposite way too. If Bitcoin breaks out today to the upside and continues to push up, it would then appear as if though the POC was at the bottom of the range. So the POC really isn't giving us any kind of hint as to what we can expect today. So what I'm looking at to kind of give me the bias of maybe Bitcoin doesn't go up today is the dollar. So the dollar is crucial in a lot of macro moves when it comes to Bitcoin, and what we've seen here lately on the dollar is more of a macro move, as most analysts have a slight bearish bias on the dollar because we're in a rate cutting regime. But now that this whole thing has started in the Middle East, it is starting to price out interest rate cuts, and I'll show you a chart to that effect later on. But that is kind of giving the dollar a pump when it should have probably found resistance and rolled over. So, two big strong up days at the beginning of the week. Yesterday, we really had a nothing burger when it comes to the dollar. It just pulled back all day, but this morning we are bouncing. So let's pull up the DXY real quick so you can see what I'm talking about here. Here's the daily chart. You can see real big explosion away from the daily exponential moving average. This was Monday, right? This was our key level down here, the 21 exponential on the dollar. If the dollar were to break down below this daily 21 exponential, the yellow average that you see on the chart, then we were going to have more of a near-term bullish bias on Bitcoin, hoping that dollar bear positioning would ultimately give Bitcoin that bid or support. But instead, Bitcoin seemed to have rallied at the same time as the dollar did. So as of right now, you're not seeing any kind of inverse correlation between DXY and BTC. But ultimately, if the dollar is stronger, that would give me more of a near-term weaker outlook on Bitcoin. Now, with that being said, going back to Bitcoin, if we get out off this very near-term chart and look at the 4-hour and pull up our moving averages, you can see that Bitcoin finally has retested the 200 exponential moving average. It is a big average on the 4-hour time frame. So as it fell down here and gave you that second leg in the bear market, or that last leg, as of right now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the low. Please do not think that of me. Obviously, I know Bitcoin can make new lows, but as of right now, it is the low. It is a local low. only time will tell if ultimately if it becomes a cycle low or not. There isn't anything that we can look at that would give us more of like a confirmation, is the low end or is it not. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk back, getting off track here, going back to the 200 exponential. You can see that yesterday we not only tested it, we blasted through it with no problems at all. So anybody looking for shorts yesterday would have most likely been stopped out. Typically, if we're looking at a resistance level, we definitely don't want to try to take a short or an opposite reaction trade at resistance if there's a lot of bullish momentum, as that bullish momentum can carry the rest of the day through. And basically all I mean by that in simplistic terms is if there's a shitload of buying going on, you don't want to step in front of that, not necessarily in that day. As usually if these trades are going to work out, we find that a lot of times it's the next day or even the day after when you ultimately do get that rollover or that move lower. So if Bitcoin is going to stay in a bear market, it is still absolutely in a bear market here. But if it's going to stay weaker longer term, then this is an area where we would be looking to potentially put risk on with Bitcoin by shorting it or trying to short a lower daily high. As of right now, you do currently have a lower daily high. So basically any retest of today's high would be a shortable opportunity. And then if price continues to trend above that level, then obviously you're on the wrong side of the market, potentially, as if it goes up into yesterday's high and then continues to trend, then Bitcoin is just going up. It wants to test February's high or February's open instead of just these weekly highs. Now, obviously, you're looking at the daily chart here, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that weekly range high level that you have is not the top of the range. There is another daily wick right here that is just a tad bit higher. I get that, I do, but it's just that. It's a day swing high. It is not a weekly swing high, and that matters. The reason that it matters simply is because the higher time frame traders and analysts that don't even bother to look at daily charts, they do not see that wick, therefore they do not care, right? So it's important that we get the actual objective higher time frame levels, and then we can look at the smaller time frame levels later on. But it didn't really matter because when Bitcoin blasted through the weekly range high, it also blasted through that other one too. Like I said earlier, a lot of bullish momentum, and you don't want to get in the way of that. Now, I am more bullish down here than bearish. My long-term bias. I am almost a Bitcoin maximalist when it comes to that. And this is simply because of the trend that Bitcoin has given us since its very inception, since it's been a publicly traded asset on free market, in free market capitalistic world. Bitcoin has always ran cycles. If you bought, it doesn't matter when or where you buy, at what price. If you hold more than 4 years, you get your money back. That has been literally the case in every single cycle since Bitcoin has been here. Some will give it up to math and say that's the reason why, because it's just math, right? Bitcoin operates as a protocol driven by math. And this is why that works, because every 4 years you have the supply, therefore Bitcoin should always, in theory, as long as people are still accumulating, move higher. So I don't know if I believe that or not. I know that there is enough data, and this asset has more than enough time traded and has been accumulated by large market people at this point, like big hedge funds. You've got banks competing in this now. You have ETFs, like just you're starting to see more and more accumulation on the elite side, if you will. So maybe the 4-year cycle models later on in time will stop working out as easily as they have, but maybe not. Every indicator that you look at right now, Bitcoin is still massively oversold, even with this pop. We go back to the daily time frame. The 200-day EMA is a really good arbiter of overdoneness in a market. If your price is trading with the 200, then a big move could be coming. If price is trading way away from the average, you have to be careful because a retracement could be coming. So I do have more of a bullish bias, whether if you're thinking long term or near term. I do have more of a bullish bias, but because Bitcoin has been so oversold, it doesn't make it easy for me to look for shorts at, say, 68K when the local low is 60. There's only 8K that I can look to squeeze out of that lemon. So I would much rather look for shorts higher on the chart than lower, if you would. Unfortunately, I have a bullish bias. So it makes it difficult for me to look for shorts. I am short Bitcoin. I do hold long-term puts. We started shorting Bitcoin in October. That's basically when I started to get this community on, the be careful, much lower prices could be on their way type of thing. But we really didn't see it. We weren't expecting it. We were just getting prepared for it. But ultimately, I do like Bitcoin. I just posted this morning a beautiful chart that shows something absolutely phenomenal, and it's research done by Bitwise. Basically, as time horizons grow, Bitcoin losses fall off. This is probability of loss per holding period. And as you can see, one day it's a flip of a coin. So if you buy Bitcoin and your time horizons are literally tomorrow, whether you make money or not will be less than 50%. But notice how that starts to drop as you get out here to a year. Now at a year, with just 1 year of hold time, you have like a 76 or 75.7% chance that you could make money, right? And then you get to 3, 5, and 10 years. Just look at that. There's like a 0.0% probability that if you buy Bitcoin today, 10 years from today, you will be in the red. That is insane. Now, obviously, this can change in the future. This is looking at past cycles and past data. That's how they come up with this figure. And the probabilities, all of that comes from the past. The past is never an accurate predictor of the future, but it's how you have to be an investor. You have to invest on probabilities, and the probabilities are good. As long as Bitcoin continues to be what it is today, chances are 10 years from today, it'll be worth more money than it is today. I just thought that was fantastic, and I wanted to make sure everybody got to see that. Now, there are a bunch of other indicators, whether you're looking at something as simple as an RSI, or you can go out and look at the most sophisticated indicators out there that analysts use or investors use to find value associated with money or investing. Right now, Bitcoin and Ethereum are both inherently in fantastic places to look to buy if you have a 5 to 10 year time horizon on Bitcoin. Obviously, on the near term, there could be more volatility as the VIX is still very elevated. Right now, it's trading at 2254. So obviously, there could be more downside. But if you're looking for a long-term buy and hold, this is a great place to actually put some Bitcoin risk in the old portfolio if you had, intention on doing so anyway. But most of the people that follow my channel are not long-term investors. They are day traders, and that's what everybody is here for, trying to get on the right side of the market for today. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Obviously, we've already looked at deltas, and deltas are slightly bullish here. We know that these are two levels that basically will define whether or not we're buyers or sellers moving on. If Bitcoin cannot hold support here, then I would have more of a near-term sell-side bias on Bitcoin. So it kind of makes it a little bit difficult to look for a short right here. We got little less now, like 13 minutes until the bell for the New York session open. But I mean, if you're looking for a short, I would say as long as you're not closing 30-minute candles higher than this last 30-minute bullish close up here, you could probably put that position on. Just make sure you're managing your risk. Make sure you know what you will lose if you are even 1 penny wrong. All right. Leverage can make your losses massive, especially if Bitcoin has a big move, and it can. It can absolutely have a big move. You can be very unprepared for. So just be careful. Make sure your losses are mitigated. The only position that I have open right now is a silver short. I added to the short. Well, first and foremost, I took the short Tuesday morning as it was putting in a lower daily high here. I like that. It had already made a lower low. So lower low, then lower high. I allowed resistance to be built. I saw the point of control starting to grow. It looked like sellers were jumping on it. The deltas were extremely negative at that point. As you can see here, they're pushing lower as price is trading sideways. So I put the original sell entry right here and then took profits as it started to fall down. Then yesterday, correct. Yesterday, as it made these lows into a trendline support, your yearly opening range is down here on the perpetual swap futures contract that is offered by this asset, this company, which is Weeks, is down here, but the yearly opening range on XAG or just most silver futures is not down here. But you do have that trend line on basically all of the silver charts. So this trend line is what is acting as support. But anyways, yesterday I added to the short position again. So essentially I took profits on Monday. I gave it all day Tuesday, let it do its thing. Then I added to the short on Wednesday, and I'm still in that position this morning. So I'm still holding that trade. I've been holding it all week up until now, up until today, I should say. The funding rate has been paying the sellers. Oh, wait. It's paying the sellers again. Let me get you up there on there. There you go. You can see my actual first entry, like I said, was up here. Then I added to the short yesterday as it pushed up into resistance, and that brought my cost basis down. Now I'm just holding. But as you can see here, the funding rate is positive. So that means the longs have to pay the shorts. So I don't have to close this position unless it starts making higher closes on the 4-hour time frame. And as of right now, it did do that one time yesterday. One candle closed higher. I stuck it out because it was a lower close than the 200 exponential. The 21 was also about to make a cross. I knew if it just traded sideways for the rest of the night and coming into this morning, that they would cross. They have crossed. So that's a good look. You're down below the 50 down here. That's a good look. Like I showed you earlier, there are negative deltas. So short positions I like today, especially if the dollar gets a lift. The dollar becomes bullish. Bitcoin is the exact opposite of all of that, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult to be bearish on Bitcoin. You're literally up above everything here. You're above the 200. Your 21 and 200 are about to cross to the upside. And your deltas are positive slightly, but still positive. You're above the 50. Yeah, so you don't have the same structure, even though on the daily time frame or a weekly time frame, this asset is still heavily bearish. Even on every time frame, it is still bearish, to be honest with you, unless you're looking from a week and under. Obviously, yesterday was bullish. This whole week is bullish, right? You've been up all week. You're trading above last week's high, well above last week's high. That makes you trending. So the sellers have it to prove, to be honest with you. The buyers have this. They are in control of it. But if the sellers are going to take it today, they have to take it today. And they could, but only if the dollar or maybe, hang on. The sellers will only be lucky, most likely, if the dollar rolls or bounces, right? If you get that dollar strength today, that could help the sellers in shorting Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin can roll over even if the dollar is weak, but you have a lot more indicators saying you probably shouldn't be looking for shorts today, right? You also have a bullish engulfing 4-hour candle that came off of support. So that is actually more of a bullish signal, it does look like they are trying to buy. It doesn't look like they're trying to buy demand way up here, but I mean, obviously people are going to be watching this bullish candles low. If you take that out and start to trend, that's going to open the door for more sellers to jump on it. I would not want to take that trade. I am not a breakdown or a breakout trader. I try to get positioned as high in the range as I can if I'm looking for shorts, and as low as I can in the range if I'm looking for longs. So if I were to short Bitcoin today, because of something that I see on the charts or some kind of news comes out or whatever, right? Just the market looks like it wants to go lower. I would probably be okay with putting that position on right here at 4-hour resistance, which is just the past 4-hour candles close. And then if Bitcoin started to trade above that with any kind of momentum, I would bail on that position and then look to potentially put that position on up here at the current day high. As if you're trading above the current day high, there's no point, in my opinion, in looking for a short, if that makes sense. Because at that point, you are trending up. You've made a low of day and you're currently heading higher. So even if it does roll over later today, at least this morning, order flow is bullish. So, yeah, it doesn't really feel good to look for shorts. Nvidia, on the other hand, looks much better for looking for shorts. As you've already gotten your bearish cross on the 4-hour, your POC is currently above where price is trading. Resistance held at gap fill, which is where we were looking yesterday for resistance to come in, was right here. And that's exactly where resistance has come in so far. Now, with that being said, obviously, I don't know if you're going to get a big downside continuation day or not, but it does look like you have a decent shot at a short on something like Nvidia. Unfortunately, that move has already taken place. As you can see here, basically the sellers got it at gap fill, and they still have it because you've been trending lower all morning. The pre-market starts at 4 a.m. So since 4 o'clock this morning, people have been shorting Nvidia. Even the 5-minute structure looks bearish. So basically, if on the bell, if Nvidia can pop, right, on the bell, when you get the bell, if you can get a nice bullish push up into like 182.50 or 183, maybe even pre-market highs. Anything further above that, then I don't want to be short. But if it could get a pop somewhere in here, show me an inability to trend higher beyond that, I could look at this potentially being a bull trap, take the short, and see what happens. So I would rather short Nvidia than Bitcoin today, is what I'm trying to say. And then obviously I'm going to hold this short, as I see no reason to close this or even take profits, as it is trending lower. Deltas are trying to trend lower. The POC is where I like it. Obviously, that ascending trend line can act as support, and we know that central banks are still buying gold and silver. So kind of makes holding long-term shorts on this a kind of a bad idea, as long as central banks are buying, because it's central banks buying literally is what caused this massive bullish rally to begin with. So I don't necessarily want to be on the wrong side as them, but I think we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. There's no reason for me to close the trade. There's no reason for me to close the trade. If it starts to get really bullish on the bell and starts making higher highs and higher closes, then obviously I'll take profits. I've already taken $500 worth of profits on this trade. I've got $619 of unrealized gains I can take. I did add to the position, so I have a pretty nice position size on here now. If it does start to roll over, it will accumulate a lot of dollar bills pretty rapidly, depending on how big the move is. But the same is true to the upside. If it does start to get moving to the upside with any kind of steam, that $600 will be wiped off the board rapido. So I will probably close it. I have it set at about 350. That's about as low as I will allow the unrealized P&L to go before I just close the whole trade down. That way I can say I made about $150 on a single day trade that I put on days ago. Not bad, especially when I'm only trying to make 300 bucks per risk. That one risk has essentially accumulated to that. So that's a double win. I'll take it. I love it. All's good. And there really ain't many other crypto assets that look very shortable today. Fartcoin might be one, as it was showing inherent weakness, but as you can see on this last 4-hour pop, it got really strong really quick. So it does appear that the bulls were trying to lift this out of this wedging formation. If it breaks out above the last week's high, let's get rid of that VWAP as to not confuse anybody. It's last week's high. That is the objective level that we're monitoring here. If it's trading above this, I no longer want to be short on Fartcoin, because at that point it is trending to the upside, and we do not short bullish assets. We like to short weak assets that are trending the opposite direction. Or we'll take a short if we think a reversal is going to happen, like if it's running out of steam or something like that, right? Then we can take shorts. But it feels to me like it's building up momentum for a break to the upside. And I don't necessarily want to get in front of that break to the upside. I just don't know what it's going to do, right? That's the thing that we'll never know. But we don't need to know. As long as we situate our risk at the right places and do what we're supposed to do, time tells us that we'll make money. And that's all we do. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week so far. I was also looking for euro dollar shorts. Let me go ahead and pull that up. I definitely do not need 2 gold charts. So let me get euro dollar up, as this is the best way, in my opinion, to trade the US dollar, as this currency pair offers the highest correlation to the DXY, as it's roughly 59% of the DXY basket. So if you don't know this, the DXY, or the US dollar, is made up of a bunch of different currencies, and those currencies each have a weighting, and that's how you get the DXY. But anyways, we'll see what it does here. It does look like it's finding a bit of resistance. Obviously, euro had a much more dramatic breakdown than something like pound, because of euro is a net oil importer. That means they have to buy. That means they have to buy all of their oil. So as long as oil is expensive, it really hurts the currency, and especially Europe oil. Like, euro oil prices are much more expensive right now than US oil prices. So we'll see if this continues or not. It's right at the 200 exponential. That could act like support. I never love to short right into support, but resistance appears to be holding here. So as long as it's not closing higher 30-minute candles in one spot, 16208, I will be more than okay and willing to hold a short on this. All right. The bell just rung, so let's give it a few minutes. Let's go look at Nvidia real quick. See, we are getting that slight bullish spike here. So I'm going to pull Nvidia up on, get it going up here, so that way I can short it if it does in fact give me a test of resistance, which it doesn't look like it's going to do. So I might not be able to put, give me 1 second. Hang on, just a All right, I'm back. Yeah, I don't want to short Nvidia down here at the daily low. I don't know that it will be the daily low, but if I take a short here and this ends up being the daily low, I will have literally shorted the day low, and I don't want to do that. I would rather short the daily high if I can, or around the daily high, as none of this pre-market data shows up as daily high. It's only what happens after the bell rings. So I would much rather short Nvidia up at 182. I could have done that pre-market had I been paying attention to it this morning. I just was not. We do see a ton of bid pressure showing up down here. An absolute metric ton. It is all blue. Anytime you see all blue like that, that is a bunch of people hitting that buy button. and they are hitting it aggressively. You can also see that happening on deltas down here. We do not need an RSI on a 5-minute ticker. That's just a little bit crazy, but we do want to see deltas, as deltas can give us a hint as to who's winning the battle. I'm not sure if that's the weekly 21 or not. I'm pretty sure it is. It does look like it is. Okay, so, I mean, I could put a short on there. We'll see if it gets up there. You see how that delta just spiked real hard? That's bid pressure. Massive bid pressure. So basically what I would love to see, like in a perfect world, we would get a spike and then another continuation candle on the open, and then you would spend like 15 or 20 minutes just grinding the highs, but not really breaking out. Kind of show that momentum waning. Trying to short on the first 5-minute candle has caused me a lot of agony in the past. So I kind of just want to give it about 10, 15 minutes to suss out market direction. You're opening inside yesterday's range. Anytime you're opening inside the prior day's range, it's literally anybody's game. The buyers can take it, the sellers can take it. Your structure on the 5-minute using moving averages is clearly more bearish than bullish, as your 200 is above your 21. So I do like that. And also on the 4-hour, your structure is more bearish. So I do like that. However, as long as we're trading inside yesterday's range, the threat is either direction. We don't typically want to be selling if we're gapping up or buying if you're gapping down, because you could be doing a gap and go. But when you're doing this, it's basically a retest. You're just retesting the prior day's range. And in this case, it just happens to be a weekly supply level. This level did not offer up any form of resistance yesterday at all. It wasn't until you got to gap fill where you saw longer term resistance build in. It didn't just tag it once and roll over. I mean, you'll very seldom ever going to see that happen. It does happen. It does happen, but it's not like something that happens so often where you can get any kind of consistency from it. This is the best way to prove a resistance level. Give it time and see, does price trend away from the level? If it doesn't, that means you are seeing resistance show up. And so far, dollar's bouncing. I mean, it's not bouncing. It's acting like it wants to sell off. So if dollar sells off today, obviously the euro short will get stopped out. Bitcoin will probably rally or continue to rally as it is rallying. It's not rallying today, but it's more bullish than bearish. S&P also looking like a hammer candle on the weekly this week. It's not a great look for bearish positioning. I do love that the yearly opening range finally acted like resistance. Now what we need to see is, do those sellers show up today at the day high, or what they perceive to be the day high? This copies the futures, so the day high as of right now is over here. Wait, no, it's actually right there. Yeah, that's 1800 hours right there. That's your day open on the futures chart. So we'll see if they'll jump on it there. If they can jump on it there, that would be good enough for me to look for short on Nvidia. Because Nvidia is a big part of the S&P 500. So I'm going to go ahead and put the short on Nvidia real quick, or get a limit order out there to be filled at 4-hour res. I can only short 20 contracts, unfortunately. So it's not going to be for a day trade. This is going to be more of like a swing trade, and only if it plays out. I did not get filled. It did tag my entry. It just did not fill me. That's the problem trading a very illiquid asset. And this futures product, Nvidia USDT, is absolutely illiquid. It's only traded 32,000 contracts in a 24-hour period. They are offering 0 fees on this product to try to get people over here to trade it. Funding rate is paying the shorts, so I do like that as well. As you can see here, you have a different structure as you are above your 21 and you are above the 50. So you could be changing bearish structure around here. But it did not fill me. And it did, like I said, it did tag me. This price right here probably didn't get, it might have gotten like a penny or two away from me, and that's why they didn't fill. This price has to hit 182.34 for me to start getting filled and limit. If I go in on market, I'll probably be filled on a short way down here, and I don't want to do that. Because as you can see, this spread is wide. Your nearest bid is setting at 181.27. Your nearest ask is setting a buck wide. Well, we'll see what happens here. Let me go ahead and see what everybody's talking about. Good morning, Trade Talk. Good morning, Non-Stoppity. Good morning, Heath. What's your take on just buy and hold Oracle and Microsoft, as both are at the 200 weekly simple moving average? Historically should be fine, but I'm afraid we go much lower. Here's the thing. Nobody's going to be able to tell you what price is going to do. As an investor, when we buy, I don't buy because it could go lower. I'm buying because it's at a decent price and I'm willing to hold it at that price. But I just make sure that my risks are adjusted and set. Like, I never go into a long position without a stop loss. So as long as you're doing that, I think you'll be okay. Right? It is at a historical good place to be a buyer, for sure. Yes, it is. So could it go lower? Obviously, the answer is yes. But historically speaking, that 200 is a good place to buy. 200 week. Can you check KRK and F, please? Give me 1 second here. Can you check KRK and F, please? How would I find such a hidden gem years ago? Well, I can go ahead and tell you it's a 5-letter ticker symbol, which means it's OTC probably, or worse, right? I don't trade anything that has more than 4 letters in the ticker symbol in the stock market. If it's, it can have 10 letters if it's followed by USDT or USD or USDC or something like that. But if it's just 5 letters and it's a stock, it's probably a garbage company OTC. But yeah, I can pull it up. I mean, I've never heard of it. I get a lot of KR, KH, F, and H's and stuff like that. I don't remember any of them. KR, K, and F. Oh, this is cracking. Okay, I have heard of this one. Yeah, this one came on my radar at $3 because of a YouTube video. Obviously, it's doing really good. These people, what they do is they build batteries, and they got a contract with Anduril, the weapons company, that they supply the batteries for one of their drones. I believe it's the underwater submarine drone. So that's what this has all the hype about, right? This is a monthly chart. So clearly it's been doing good for several years at this point. I don't necessarily think that I want to be a buyer when an asset has went up 900%. Maybe if it pulls back, I mean, it's not quite, oh, it is much more than 900%. Maybe if it pulls back, right? And like I said, I've been looking at this asset since $3. I think that's when I first alerted my community in the Discord that this thing got a deal with Anduril to supply batteries, but that was a long time ago. That was back here in September. Even then, I didn't like the idea of being a buyer. So, I mean, there is no technical analysis that's going to work on something like this. It's absolutely on fire. It is hyped up. It is rocking and rolling. It is barely pulling back and just taking off. So you're just going to have to take your chances at it at higher prices. I definitely would not be a buyer this week, as you just made fresh all-time highs. When you want to buy a stock, I think you'd be better off if you just bought the open of a week. So Monday morning at 9:30, hit the buy button. As if you're going to see upside prices for that week. Maybe you get lucky and it just goes straight up from there. All right. But buying at the weekly high on a Thursday is not the best place to buy, because if it just pulls back next week to this week's open, you're going to be down. And could it do that? Yeah, it could have a blow off top. We don't know what it's going to do. I don't like it at $6. I would rather let it pull back, let it confirm the trend is strong. Right now, it is so strong, it's too strong to buy. So I would love a retest of the weekly EMA. If you can hold that, then I'll pick some up. And I would like to buy this company before Enduro goes public, obviously. But I don't want to buy it at $6. I'm just built like that. I hate buying highs. I lost so much money early on in my career from buying highs and buying momentous, blown off type of highs like this. It's different if you're buying like Apple or something. This company just started taking off a year ago. And this year, 2024, and this year, it's gone up so much. It's like, it's hard to buy it now. But yeah, it is. It could be a good buy on a retest of the weekly 50. If it can hold that, obviously. Yeah, it is late. Do you see any stocks that seem in deep value other than Microsoft? Yeah, I think Netflix was in deep value. When we started talking about buying Netflix, it was before it popped. So we were buying Netflix over here. I still think it's a decent buy at $99, but obviously buying it right now, you're buying into hype, right? It was the news of dropping Warner Brothers deal. So Netflix decided not to buy Warner Brothers, and that's what caused it to pop. So now, obviously, where I bought, I'm up. It's good, right? Would I buy at 100? Maybe not. You're into the moving averages. So this is your first real resistance test since you broke down. So I give it a couple weeks to see what it can do here. But it was deep effing value. As you can see, it was trading down there. Microsoft is in deep value. Google's not nowhere near there yet. Apple's still got a long way to go. Meta's pulled back, but it looks like it's struggling at the yearly opening range. We'll see if it can close above it this week. I don't think it's going to. I think today was the day to take the sell. And I just didn't get filled. I tried to take that short on Nvidia. I typically don't want to be a buyer on a risk asset if risk markets are pulling back extremely hard, because you could have just set the weekly high on Meta. So no, not really. Not really. Coinbase is at deep value. I don't know if it's going to be a great company to own for long term, but it could be. Oracle is a software company. All software plays look like this. And software has a big watch list. I think I have like 10 tickers in my software watch list. Cloud, Amazon, Oracle, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, Zscaler, Snow, CRM, Workday, Now, Avgo, Microsoft, Palantir, Intuit. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Adobe might be good buy down here. Obviously, you broke down, but AI is going to destroy software as a service. Adobe's going to have to figure out something. Otherwise, they could be in real trouble here. Because AI can do everything that Adobe products can do. And you can do it for cheaper. I think Adobe is super expensive. They offer just like, you can get some tools that are not that bad, but like their software suite or whatever for like creators is like $70 a month. And that's like a never stop, always, like you're renting the stuff. You can do it for on Grok cheaper. That's really hurting their business here. They have to do some innovation, and they have enough money and people behind them. They might be able to do so. And then obviously IGV is just the software ETF. So if you do like software as a service, maybe it is in value, right? All of these things are going to look very similar, except Amazon. Amazon isn't only software. Oracle's getting beat up. Palo Alto, Zscaler, they all look pretty bad. It's just basically, I mean, could they bounce? Yeah, but I like the ones that offer cloud services better, because they actually have a business model where they can make money off of AI, renting cloud stuff. But if they don't have that, I don't really like them. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Supposedly there's a rumor in the mix that Elon Musk is getting ready to drop some like world-changing tech. I don't know if it's true or not. It could just be a rumor, but I started hearing about that rumor as Tesla traded back down into the 2025 yearly opening range again. And it did bounce kind of hard out of that area, and it does look to be holding support. I think people are buying Tesla here in anticipation of that news being big. So Tesla's actually, I wouldn't call it deep value here, especially now that it's bounced so hard. But when it was trading into these lows, you definitely could have been putting on some risk. It's just not deep value. It's not oversold, right? I think if you put the 50 on here, it's testing that. It's getting close to testing that. So if Tesla breaks down below November's low, I would be careful, because my next downside target on Tesla would be 328.23. That's if it loses 382. Just reverse the number. 328 would be my downside target. And you would probably get down there pretty quick. I know there's a 100 EMA there before you get to that price, but it's so close to 328. I think you would probably, momentum alone would take you down there. So I like Tesla at like 390, not so much at 405. But if it breaks below 390, then I would be getting out. I did get filled on the Nvidia short as it did bounce right back up. This is not the kind of price action I want to see on a bearish asset. Because as of right now, this is your high of day. And when you broke down here, you did not make a fresh day low. That's very important. It might not seem like it's very important, but it is. You fell short of making that fresh day low. So now you have a higher low here, and it bounced right back up to the day high. So we might be off sides on this. Anytime you set a day high and then immediately go down and make a fresh day low, that is more of a bearish signal. But if you do not make that fresh day low and it gets bought up that quick, it seems more bullish than bearish. There's a fresh day high right there. So being bearish, Nvidia might not be a good trade today. We'll see. I haven't been stopped out or anything on it yet, so we'll see. I will probably close it if it takes out pre-market highs. I'll probably use that as my stop. Because at that point, you will be trending significantly away from the 200. If you go up above it and then stop going up and chop, then that could be a trap. But if you go way up above it, it's not a trap, and continue to go. Right now, the dollar is being sussed out, unfortunately. As you can see right here, the dollar has not broken out yet. So if the euro trade gets stopped out, like if euro dollar starts to head back in the up direction, that means the dollar is heading back lower. And a lower dollar could help tech and Bitcoin and stuff be bullish today. Bitcoin is actually testing 4-hour support, or it did a minute ago. VIX, what's the VIX doing here? The VIX is up. It's up nicely. You're under last week's high, so that's good for risk on. I mean, it's still elevated, right? It still is elevated, but if it starts to trend back to the downside under last week's high, I would say risk assets pop. I would say they pop. You can see here S&P 500 futures retesting the yearly opening range, coming back, retesting. It's trying to hold as resistance, but support come in right at that last 4-hour low. Generally, for an asset to be bearish, I want to see it breach well under that low and then continue. The fact that you just made a new low and bounced significantly kind of feels like people had their bid order setting right there. You have lost your near-term downtrend. It has not been, it's been bearish pre and post market, but every day this week has been an up day. Monday, you opened, you traded higher. Tuesday, you opened, traded down, tagged the low edge of the expected range, and then bounced and closed as a hammer candle with a bullish hammer candle, which is even more of a strong signal. Yesterday, you had upside continuation into resistance. Today, you've pulled back to yesterday's open. If you can't start trending under yesterday's open on the SPX, it's probably not a short. And once again, silver is just struggling to break down. I do not like that. Let's go, silver, break down. Come on, baby, you got to give it to me. Just kidding. If euro breaks down, silver breaks down. That's what I feel about it anyway. I could be wrong, but if the dollar firms up today and starts to make fresh weekly highs, I think silver has a chance on at least retesting some lows. I don't know about making fresh weekly lows. This is a big ass range. It's already a bearish weekly engulfing candle. So as you can see here, massive blow off style move, downside continuation. You pulled back up into the range and then bearish engulfing. This is not a bearish engulfing as it didn't take out the prior week's high. But if we look at XAG, on Oanda, it is absolutely a bearish engulfing because it gapped up and then sold off. Like I said, this looks good for downside, especially after seeing a blow-off style move. So if you were to fib this high to this low, it would be like a 50% retracement or a 618 retracement, which is typically where we want to see the sellers show back up. Wait, that ain't the low, is it? No. Let me get my magnet tool back up. There we go. Now we can snap to the low. So yeah, makes sense. You bounce up into the midpoint, 618-ish area, and those sellers show back up again. I'm not looking for a big sell-off or anything like that, but I'd be more than happy to get it back down to here. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens with it. But like I said, it came out swinging early on the week, and then it's done nothing since. So you're back in price discovery already. Generally, for a market to sell off and sell off hard, I want to see it, the fear continue. Because selling shows us fear. That's what a bearish move is. It's fear. People are just saying, get me out at whatever price. And that's typically what you want to see if you're a bear. I'm not a bear, but I am bearishly positioned. So I would love to see that fear come back. This looks like accumulation. And that's scary because we know central banks are still buying. I can't say that. I know they were still buying in 2026. I'll say that. I don't have data for February yet, but we will get that data. And then we'll know for sure if they were buying in February. But we pretty much know central banks are still buying. So anytime central banks are buying something, it's a very risky trade to try to step in and get short on. But it did lose structure. It does have bearish structure. So as long as it's got bearish structure on the near term, right? You do have bearish structure here. You just haven't been able to break away yet. And that's the move I'm trying to catch here. The break away from bearish structure. Then I'll take my profits and we'll see what happens later on next week. But I was hoping we would get at least one more day of downside continuation this week. Especially since yesterday you were sideways all day. All day yesterday. You did nothing. Just a very small inside range day. The fact that we came out today and made a lower high and all that, it looked really good. You had already made a lower low too. But this range is so tight. Like it could literally make a fresh daily high. It would be no problem. One big bullish candle, you're making a fresh day high. It's literally just got to go to right here. It can do that in 1-2 candles tops. So I would love to see these deltas turn around and start trending and price to do the same. All right, so Nvidia made another fresh day high. It is still struggling here at the 200. So this is good. This is okay. It's also the weekly 21 exponential. So I do expect there to be some heavy order flow happening at this price. If it starts to trend away from the 200 to the upside, I will bail on this trade. You do not have bearish deltas down here. That could change with one good breakdown candle. You could absolutely crush this down here, but still, I need to see that start to happen soon. I would rather it not take out the pre-market high. It's like I said, when you're looking for shorts, you want to short a weak asset. And Nvidia is not a weak asset. It's not strong, or it hasn't been strong as of late, but it is definitely not weak either. Adobe investing into data centers, AI hard. Yeah, they need to save their company. They're going to have to do something. Good morning, Heath. What's the pants situation? Oh, I got to go up higher. Do you still hold long-term Nvidia puts? Yes. Yes, I do. It's not like I'm maxed out or anything like that. It's not like I'll make a lot of money. I took the same trade that Michael Burry did. It was more for the LOLs, the LOLs, if you will. Michael Burry took a short on Nvidia a long time ago, back last year, like near Q4 2025. When he published his short position, I took the same trade, which is just simply buying, I think it was $60 strike puts. The trade itself cost $50 or $60 a contract. So essentially I have a $60 strike put and I paid $60 for it. And I think it's out to 2027 or December of 2020. Here, I can pull it up. Let me just get in NVDA. I can show you exactly the trade. It is right here. So as you can see, here's Nvidia. There's the option chain. It's out to January 15th, 2027. So there's still 316 days of time left on this option. And it's way down here. It's the $50 strike put. As you can see, I'm losing money on this trade. I paid $60 for this put. So I am losing money. You would need a massive move on Nvidia in order for this trade to make decent money. A big down move and it could still make a little bit of money because there's still plenty of theta left on this trade. So if Nvidia has like a 20 or a 30% decline before 2027, this put might make some money. It won't make a lot of money. But I just put it on for the lulz because he put this trade on with millions of dollars. I put it on with pocket change. I just wanted to see, does he make money? Because a lot of people follow that guy. I mean, obviously he makes money. I'm just saying, would this trade make money? It was worth it for me to just put it on, but that's the trade right there. And yes, I will not close it. It will expire worthless. It will expire worthless if Nvidia doesn't go down. The only way I close this trade is if it's up like 300%. Like if I can make 3 times my money, then I'll close it. Other than that, it was just for the jokes, just for the lulz. I only bought 1 contract. The max I can lose is 60. I would rather, like, if more people starts trading the Nvidia contracts or the perpetual swap contracts on weeks, then you will be able to take a massive position size on it as more and more liquidity starts to trade these products. Once that happens, we will be scalping Nvidia on an everyday basis. Stocks trade very, very good. Like, technically, sometimes. We're going to be trading it a lot. You know what I mean? It's a very fast moving asset. It has a lot of alpha. And like I said, stocks do usually treat technical analysis pretty good. Sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. You can make money just trading Nvidia if it's the only thing you trade ever, every day. It's got enough liquidity. You can do good on as a trading career. It will definitely be on the watch list and it will definitely be traded. It's a fun asset to trade. I just didn't trade it that much because the options are a lot more harder to mitigate risk. You have post-market and pre-market risk. You can't close the trade. It's just options suck. Like, they're good for mitigating long side risk, or options are really good to sell. Like, selling options is a great strategy. Buying premium, you got to be right on direction, and there's time associated with it. There's just so much more risk involved in just trying to buy puts, in the money or out of the money puts. I would much rather take a short on spot futures, as it's just so much easier. Like, here's my entry on Nvidia. If Nvidia starts to go up, I will lose money. It is that simple. If it goes down, I will make money. It's so simple. And there's no risk at all. Like, at least, I mean, obviously there's risk. I will lose money. That's the risk. But I mean, is it uncontrollable risk? Absolutely not. All my stop losses are set at market. Like I said, I can only trade 20 contracts right now because the liquidity is so thin. So actually I could get my stop loss up here and only lose $24. Like, there's no risk in that, not really. But also I would need like a 3-day move in order to make $300. So eventually I will be able to buy, 100 or 300 contracts. When that happens, gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Because then we can trade it the same way we trade Bitcoin and silver and all the big movers. Nvidia moves 5% a day sometimes. If you can get the right position sizing on a 5% ticker, you're gonna make a lot of money. You're also gonna lose a lot of money, but you get what I'm saying. The potential to make a lot of money is there. So Nvidia is struggling to get upside continuation here above the 200 and above the weekly 21. That's sort of a good sign. I'm not seeing not the deltas, but I'm not seeing volume nodes build up here at these higher prices. There's a lot of volume nodes building up in here, so that's okay. But I would love to see it within the next 15 to 20 minutes max start to trade away from this area. Start trending away from the level. At least if it trends down, I'll be in the right spot. If it starts to trend away from the level in the upward direction, then I'll know I'm wrong and I can just get out. Either way, whichever way it breaks from this point, we'll know. We'll know. Because you've had enough time on the bell. I do not like that you're trending up. This is a higher low. So you made your daily low, then you made a day high, then you came back and made a higher low, then a fresh high. So at this point in time, the market is looking to build in higher highs and higher lows. But if at any point it drops and takes out that low, that would be a really good sign. Also, if Delta confirms that move by dropping back under neutral, that would be another good sign. We are, like I said, silver's not breaking down yet, but it is no longer threatening an upside move as it was in the last 30-minute session. So we might be getting ready to see a good move here. Like I said, we are trending in deltas. This is what's so important. This is good. Now, if price can confirm this and start making lower lows, we're in good shape on this. I mean, we're already in good shape. We could take profits right now and be in great shape. But I would like to catch a big move out of silver potentially. I'm positioned perfectly to just set and hold see what it does. But this is a big level here. It's February's open. This is literally where anybody that's anticipating a continuation move in March, this is where I would. So if I was buying silver, and because I had a bullish bias on silver, I would be buying here. This would be where I'd be buying. It's a very, very big objective support level. So we'll see if it can break it. I think that's literally what stopped it from going lower. Other people will tell you it's the trend line that caught it. I don't think it was the trend line. I think it was February's open. I mean, it's pretty clear at this point that it was February's open because it's still holding. It is not holding the trend line. You've lost the trend line. It's the February open that's holding. This trend line might not even be correct. That's the thing about triangles and ascending and descending wedges. We may be early on this descending wedge. This still might be an ascending wedge. It just might not be here, right? This might end up being your second touch, and it might end up catching it way out here. So you just have, they're subjective support levels. This is an objective support level. We don't know that it will hold as support, but we know it will always be February's open. We can look back on February 2026, 8 years from now, and this price will not change. That's what makes it objective. All right, moving on. As we're waiting here for Nvidia to roll over and silver to roll over, Nvidia, I'm feeling a lot less confident on at this point. A lot less confident. It feels to me like it wants to break to the upside. VIX is still kind of trading right there at last week's high though, so it ain't out of the woods yet. We ain't out of the woods on it yet. DXY also still trading up at resistance. The reason the dollar is struggling here is because it's your highest daily close since January the 16th. So that's why you're struggling here. It's objective resistance. You also have the 200-day EMA there. The dollar struggling here for good cause. But if it does break out, I think that could help silver and Nvidia shorts. I don't know that it will, but it would go a long ways into allowing me to continue to keep that bias. Bitcoin is breaking down. So, okay, this is that low. This is such an important level right now. If the buyers are real here in Bitcoin, if this move is legit and prices are going higher, then you should see buyers step up here. If this thing breaks back under and starts to trend lower under the weekly range high, I will be just as bearish as I was when we lost the December high up here. Boom. I will anticipate a similar move happening here if this happens. Yeah, this was bad news. I was literally yelling when that happened. No! You asshole! Get to the chopper! All the good stuff. Yeah. So buyers need to show up. They need to pick up these lower levels if price is going higher. It got down there pretty quick. But yeah, that's if I had a bullish bias coming into today, I would be buying here. If I was looking for the upside trade on Bitcoin today, I tried to get long when I had a bullish bias on Bitcoin this week. I got stopped out. Today, I didn't have a bullish bias on Bitcoin. So I need to have a bullish bias before I can try to get long an asset. There's just too many things that are kind of uncertain here still. I'm not really getting that what I want to see yet. But I did see what I wanted to see the other day. It got me. On Tuesday, we tried to buy Bitcoin. Tuesday morning, when we did this public live stream, we put the long on. We just got stopped out. Where was it? It was right here. So that wick right there got me. Right here. It got me, and then it went up. So, yeah. I also tried to buy it Sunday, and I got stopped out there, too. So I definitely don't want to try to buy here, but it might be literally my only other opportunity to buy it. As right here was another opportunity to buy Bitcoin. I didn't take it because I wasn't paying attention to the computer. I was actually out at the store when that happened. I would have bought Bitcoin there. Oh no, that's 8 o'clock at night. Sorry, 7 o'clock at night. Never mind. I was probably going to bed. That's why I didn't get long. But I was, earlier that day, I was looking for a pullback to buy. Today, I just don't love it. I just don't love it. Yesterday was almost an 8% move, too. But we'll see if it holds here. Hypothetically, one could take it. It's just, I'm not seeing the things that I love to see. I would much rather this session volume profile point of control be down at the lows of the daily session. It's in the middle, so there's not like a really good signal here. I would much rather that red line be lower. See this red line right here? I would much rather this red line be down here. If that was the case, and then we saw bullish volume deltas holding support, you can see how it started to already break support before we went live. So like if I make let me close this indicator. Let me make this one bigger. You can see what I mean here. You see how you're trending down? Like each candle is a lower close, lower close, lower close. That has to stop. It has to hold. Like see how it was holding here? Holding. Then it started to actually go the opposite direction. That is where I want to be a buyer. Not when it's down, because the deltas are more aggressive, or the sellers are more aggressive than the buyers. I want to see the buyers being more aggressive than the sellers, and then give me that bullish look and feel. Also give me a weak dollar, give me a few things, and I have no problem buying it. I would much rather be long Bitcoin right now than short, depending on what it does here at 71.3. All right, going back over to Nvidia real quick, as it's still it's positioning itself for an upside break. Also, silver refusing to break down here. February's open is acting like a big, gigantic screw you trade talk. We've got 2 hours and 42 minutes on this candle. If this thing starts to trade back up and above this close, I am bailing on the trade. I'm not going, these are piano keys. So this market has been absolutely sideways AF for 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 hours. It needs to break this level or I'm getting out. 2 days it's been holding support. If this right here was actually posting in the positive territory, I would close my short and buy it because of how hard this support is holding right now. Yeah. So you have this longer term trend line thing happening. You also have kind of a near term trend line type of thing trying to happen here as well. So, like I said, central banks buying these metals. Ugh. You got to be a pretty damn good trader to take the short side. DXY is actually pushing higher. So, I mean, that looks good and constructive for lower silver. So I'm not bailing on the idea or the thesis just yet. Oil right now, US oil is about to make a fresh day high. And right now, the day high on US oil is 77.41. We're trading at 77.30. And the dollar is about to make a fresh day high as well. So if it can, right here's your day high. It's just so much easier for me to see the daily range as a 4-hour chart. I'm sorry for anybody that wants to look at the 2-second charts. We can if you want to, but this way I can see. I know this is the day open, that's the daily low, that's the daily high. It's just so much easier to see what's going on. But yeah, 99.20, you'll have a fresh day high tick. 99.202 will give you a fresh day high tick. That could potentially help silver roll over, as it is struggling on the lows. Euro dollar breaking down here. That's good. That's good. As long as it's under 1.16211, I'll hold that short because that's where my short is. It's just right there. I didn't want to sell into that bullish spike because I thought it could be news or something. And since it's such a tight range day, I figured it was probably going up here to take out yesterday's high, but it didn't. It ultimately rolled over, came back up. So when it came back up right here, that's when I put the sell, when I fired the sell order off. I don't like selling this close to this low, right? But it hasn't really given me an opportunity. I actually tried to put it on yesterday here, but ultimately that trade got stopped out. It might have got stopped out due to a spread change, because at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you have a spread account in Forex markets, the spread widens by like 20 pips on a normal day. If there's really high volatilities in currencies, you can get a spread open up 40 pips wide. So something like that could have happened and force closed the position last night. Otherwise, I would be short from right here. I think it was right here I put that short on. So yeah, that would have been a much better position. I woke up this morning, it was gone. So I had to put it on again. All right, S&P starting to push a little bit lower. It's not making a fresh 4-hour swing low just yet, but it could. That could help Nvidia break down here. See how it's posting up? It does look like it wants to break to the upside. I'll give you that. But your moving average structure is still negatively positioned here. Your 200 is still above the 21. I mean, if it stays based up here, you will get the cross. But as of right now, you have not gotten the cross yet. And you've spent how many minutes? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. By the close of this candle, that will have been 30 minutes you've been trying to break out. So the more time that goes on, that means the probabilities get more and more better for, you know, a downside move. If the S&P is making fresh lows, dollars making fresh highs, that stuff too. It's otherwise, if none of that's going on, then I would still be more concerned with an upside break here. VIX is also back above last week's high. So VIX is also expanding to the upside. I'm not sure if that's a fresh day high. Let me look. It is not a fresh day high yet. You need 2277 to make a fresh day high on the volatility index. The volatility index is elevated. Whenever that's the case, guys, these markets can move like crazy. Be careful out there. Crypto fear and greed at 22 today. So that's a huge jump from where it was. Yesterday it was at 10 starting at the market. Then Bitcoin went up 7%. So it caused this to back off slightly. VIX is still elevated. I love that they put the VIX ticker symbol here on the main page of this website, because I really feel a lot of other analysts say that the VIX has no bearing on Bitcoin whatsoever. I disagree. I've been watching the VIX with Bitcoin since I've been trading Bitcoin. It does absolutely help to keep just an eye on it. In an elevated volatility environment, Bitcoin is usually not doing so good. All right, S&P just made fresh lows. Yeah, S&P just made fresh daily lows. That's a good sign. Let's go back to Nvidia. That makes me feel a whole lot better about this trade. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make anything, even if it does make a fresh day low. But if you took the trade with me and you have a big position size on, that is where I would be looking to take profits. I mean, it's not a huge move. It's a couple bucks. But like on a normal position size, I would be more than okay with that. A normal position, well, it's not quite 2% even, so maybe not. Maybe 2%. I'd start shedding some profits. Maybe 1.5, because I know you're not. I know your stop loss is not setting a whole 1% higher. I know your stop ain't up there, right? So you're just looking for whatever you risk, however wide your stop is, you want price to go at least that far. At a bare minimum. A 3-to-1 is better if you can get it. But I know sometimes you can't get that. I get it. I've been doing this a long time. VIX fresh day high, S&P fresh day low, Nvidia still up on day highs. But POC is building up here. You do see selling pressure start to show up as the selling pressure is yellow on each node. We're still not seeing deltas confirm selling pressure yet. That's concerning. That's concerning because it could mean that there's an iceberg soaking up the ask side of the market. I'm pretty sure that is the wrong width on that. It is. I don't know why I have to keep changing this. I literally hit the save button every time, but still, for whatever reason, Silver is back into the February open. It's a huge level. It's got to break it. But this looks a lot better. DXY, there's your breakout. Fresh day high. Bam. That's good. That's what we thought was going to happen. You haven't taken out yesterday's high yet, but at least you've gotten a higher daily high. So I would say anybody that got short the dollar yesterday is about to experience a loss. I would be concerned if I was short the dollar from yesterday's high. Or if my stop was just setting up at yesterday's high, I would be concerned with this. Very, very concerned. I would not have wanted to see it trade even 1 second above that resistance level. So right in here, I would have been like, break down, break down. And it's going the wrong way. So Bitcoin is not finding support where we said it should, which was here. It's also now testing that oh so big freaking level. It needs to hold this. It's also being confirmed with sell side deltas. That's what I mean. That's why I said today I'd be much happier with taking a short position on Bitcoin. I just didn't, but I didn't because I didn't get what I wanted. I was looking for 4-hour res. I'll be mad. Well, oh, that's not Bitcoin. Yeah, obviously I forgot to put out a limit order on Bitcoin, but I was looking for this to be hit, and that's where I would have put my sell limit if I was looking for the short this morning. Oh, okay, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't have got filled because right here's 9:30. So we went live at 9 o'clock. It did not get up there. So even if I would have put a limit order out, it wouldn't have mattered. I would not have gotten filled. But that would have been my trade if I would have taken it. All right. Anyways, Nvidia starting to break down here a little bit. So I definitely want to see deltas start trending back down. I want to see deltas get back under this point right here and hopefully get down into the neutral territory. That would be nice. But if price just makes a fresh daily low, that would be nice as well. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to do that. Wait, what's going on here? What did I do? There we go. Let's see what Tesla's doing. Tesla's still testing last week's open. That is objective resistance. You can see how these 4-hour wicks just wick. That would have been a decent spot to look for shorts if you're still... The news that I hear in the rumor mill has me out of a Tesla short right here. With that news out there, just because it's been spoken of, it makes it a little bit risky to look for shorts, because if he drops some world-changing tech tomorrow or the next day, Tesla's probably repricing up to 430, 450, some crazy number. Regardless of what the rest of the market's doing. So be careful on Tesla shorts right now. Just make sure you're aware of the risks. Okay, Nvidia about to make a fresh day low. Just like we blend. DXY breaking out. That's good. Nvidia looking good. Silver just closed the 4-hour candle. Is that a 4-hour? No, that's a 30-minute. Never mind. Yeah, that candle's closing in 2 hours. I just said that like 30 minutes ago. I should have known better. It's kind of, I mean, it ain't weird. It's support. It's a big support level. It's going to take a lot of selling pressure to break through that level. Clearly. Though even though the dollar is making fresh daily highs at this point, it's not good enough to push silver down. And the VIX is also breaking out here. So, I mean, we have plenty of good signals Like, this is nice. This is a fresh day high, and you're trending at this point. Bitcoin's breaking down. We had a bearish bias on that. S&P's making fresh cash market lows, and you have taken out yesterday's low at this point on the S&P. Now, it could bounce from here. So if you're short S&P futures from up here, this would definitely be a place to take profits. It could bounce here. That's yesterday's low on the cash market. It's also December's open. And as you can see here, you've only been able to close one bearish candle under December's open. It's a big support. I don't know why. It's just December's open, but it is. It's a big support. So until you can close the daily under that and then get some continuation, that would be objective support. It has to be that wick, right? Yeah, I mean, everything looks good, but for whatever reason, silver just not breaking down yet. And Nvidia bouncing hard here too. Just shy of making a fresh day low. Just shy of making a fresh day low. Look at the deltas. They're not breaking down. They're not continuing. This could be an iceberg. Low is 180.80. That low is 180.85. That is a nickel higher. It's still early, so this candle hasn't closed yet, but it looks like someone is down here hitting the bids, just soaking up all those asks. Just soaking away. That's dangerous. Everything looks good. It should be making fresh day lows. I see no reason why it couldn't, other than this. We'll give it a little bit more time. We're not in a rush here. Yeah, Bitcoin looking rough. Looking a little bit rough. It's not down that much in comparison to what it did yesterday. I mean, being down zero, like just 1, 2, even 3%, it's still just a pullback. So I'm not like uber bearish here. It's just maybe a midpoint check of yesterday's range would be a sufficient support zone. I don't know. But I don't like this, the way it's like struggling to keep strong bullish momentum. And that's what I want to see. Strong bullish momentum. To be fair, this candle dominates the top of yesterday's range. So you're still inside of that. So if I put a higher time frame chart here, like an 8-hour, you can see just how like this is still, these 3 8-hour candles are small in comparison to this one. So you really haven't done anything yet. If you break down and take this low out, I would be very concerned. I'd be very concerned. Dollar is pushing on fresh day highs, which means the euro is pushing on fresh day lows. So trade is doing good. Euro dollar shorts, that is. Nvidia, that's a higher high on the 5-minute. I don't like this. This right here is the reason why I would much rather be long when looking for day trades on Nvidia and risk markets in general, right? Because these assets, they just stay going up. And that's because of passive investing flows. You have constant buys just coming in all the time. Even if the markets are bad, you know what I mean? Even if the macro is terrible, it's 401k investors. They aren't in control of it. The money fund that they have managing their money, they are. And they put out those orders constantly, and that constant bullish flow just like makes being bearish difficult sometimes, or a lot of times actually. You're better off to look for opportunistic long opportunities on these things than shorts. But everybody's bearish right now because of whatever, right? The sentiment is terrible. A lot of people think the S&P is about to roll over. I'm one of them. It has a structural top. It is putting in a structural top. So unless it breaks out to the upside, you're hard pressed to get me to be bullish here. This is absolute chaos and massive volatility. In terms of a daily range, you haven't done anything. You're just retesting support here. Just retesting support. But still, all this sideways chop, it's turned into this sort of rounding top. This is more bearish than bullish. It's also like a broadening wedge. That is also more bearish than bullish. You're also under the yearly opening range. That is also more bearish than bullish. So I get why sentiment is so negative on this, but please understand the puts now right now on the S&P 500 are like record levels. You have more investors right now buying downside and out of the money puts than almost ever before. You also have more of an open short interest, worse than the last 15 years on XLK, which is the tech sector alone. The open short interest on that asset alone, if you start to see a short squeeze on that, that will propel the S&P 500 to new highs. It will. So even though retail sentiment is super negative right now, and you have so many indicators or indications rather that you could potentially be protecting downside risks, you can't be like just all out bearish yet, or you could get ripped up. You could get badly beaten up. If this thing starts squeezing those shorts, it's going to rip. You can be up at 72, 73 in the blink of an eye before anybody else knows what happens. It'd be like, what happened? This thing was rolling over. Well, because it never did. That's one bullish aspect. If the bears wanted to, they could crush this asset. How many times have we seen it just take off and not turn back? Many. So whatever reason, they're stopping short of breaking it down. And I have to ask myself, why? This right here, every time price gets down into like 68, 67, 50, even 67, that puts more negative sentiment into the market, and that generates more and more put buying. Each time this thing looks like it's about to break down, retail floods the market with put pressure. Why isn't it breaking down? Be very careful if you're heavily short the S&P 500 right now, because it could rip to the upside. Silver starting to give us that trending look now. It still ain't a fresh day low because this happened at 1 a.m., but at least it is starting to make fresh near-term lows. This still looks really good, but it will get to the point to where if price isn't making a fresh day low and this thing has been trending lower for hours, I will get very concerned and probably take profits, simply because there could also be a big something down here soaking up all this selling pressure. This is legit selling pressure, so price is just not confirming it. Price just not confirming it. Here's Nvidia right back to the upside. This is actually confirming a more bullish look than bearish. So I'm probably going to bail on this idea if it breaks out and looks like it's going to take out the pre-market highs, which is up here at 183. Getting ready to break out here. This is that intraday volatility and chaos that nobody can predict, unfortunately. All right, so do you think XAG come back to test the 50 area? The 50 on what, my friend? $50? Not anytime soon. No, absolutely not. $50 is a mile away from where we are right now. A mile away. Like, it can't even get to 75 or stay there, right? Look how much time you've spent at 75. Like, very little. Less than a day. So to just say, yeah, 50 is my next downside target, that would be a huge downside target. That would be like bull market done. That would be confirmation that your bull market is over. Whenever an asset gives back 50% of its value, especially a commodity, it's a pretty good sign that your bull market is over. So I wouldn't have a $50 bearish target. At best, right now, my bearish target is today's low. It can't even do that yet. I need that to be taken out. Then we'll talk about lower targets. But yeah, I mean, I can absolutely make the case that your top is probably in on silver for a very long time. My main concern with that statement is I need to see central bank data. I need to see, did they buy in January and February? Are they still buying as heavily as they were in 2025? Because if that's the case, then I want to look to be a buyer on these range lows, not a seller. So we have to see what that data says first, and then we can look for the more crazy downside targets, like 50. 50 is a long ways away. This asset has never even seen anything under 65 yet. But this was a blow-off move. Volatility is heavier here than it's ever been before. Do not anticipate a move like this again anytime soon. Look how much smaller these candles getting. Volatility usually shrinks. It spends a lot more time shrinking than it does by expanding. And I can prove that to you. I have data I can show you right here with one indicator. This is a Bollinger Band, right? So on the weekly time frame, volatility is still pinned to the ceiling, but it has been firing a if you're long, you need to take profit signal for a long time, right? This is letting you know that any minute now, weekly volatility will start to shrink. When weekly volatility starts to shrink, that means weekly ranges will get smaller. Here's your daily chart. Volatility is still super elevated up here. So you can still get big moves while this is happening. But when this starts to trend back down, your bigger ranges will go away. That means it will take a lot more time. It'll probably take more time to get to 50 from here than it took for it to get from 50 to 120. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty probable statement. I can make that statement. The amount of time it took to break above 50 and get all the way to 120 will take twice as much time to get back to 50. Yeah, you've got to chop up all that liquidity. It's going to take months. So as of right now, this is the major low that people are watching on silver. But all of your smart money, the majority of it, I would say, has been taking profits. I'm not going to say that they're completely out of the market, but we can see it based in the price, what the price is doing, that they are taking profits at a bare minimum. They're not going to bail when volatility is so jacked up. They're going to take profits on when price, when it starts to go back in the opposite direction. Because smart money knows that price is elastic. It's not just going to go straight down. and it's going to, oscillate. So they're going to be more selective in where they take profits and stuff like that. So it's just going to take a lot more time. If it does get to 50 quickly, something's broken with silver. Something is broken fundamentally. Like if China comes out and says, okay, we're going to start importing or exporting silver again for anybody that wants to buy it, that would cause a significant sell-off probably. And then if the US comes out and stops their hold on silver as well, right? Those two countries are basically what started this whole massive rip. So if they come out in the opposite way, then that could cause a serious sell-off. But since silver is a commodity and it's used in some products, bigger companies are probably short paper silver, because obviously if you need to buy silver in order to make a product, if you don't want to pass those costs off to your customer base, then obviously you want copper prices depressed or at least lower. So I can make the reason why silver could go lower. It's just not going to be anytime soon. I'm only taking trades based on technicals, like what price is telling me it looks like it wants to do. That's all I'm doing here. Just looking for opportunity, taking a shot, sometimes making money, sometimes losing money. No pants, Wes. Buddy. We just do not wear them. Today's temperature is 78 and sunny. All right. Good morning, Heath. Curious on where targets would be for Ethereum on a trend reversal this year. Looking at 3.3 to 4.2K personally. That would be a pretty big move from here. And that I would say confidently that you do have a trend reversal if you hit 3.3 Ethereum again. That's all the way back up here. All the way back up there. That's your yearly opening range. In and around that area. Let's see here. Where is it? It is right there. So could it get back there this year? It could. Yeah, I mean, it could. If all the macro conditions that caused the Bitcoin bear market or the crypto bear market at this point reverse, then yeah, it could literally, crypto's volatile. So you could get back up to 25, 26 in just 2 or 3 real good days. I'd say I don't know that I would target 3,300 by year end, but it's possible for sure. Once you get above that, it's starting to get a little bit, your average true range probably would be very hard pressed to even allow price to get back up there. So probabilities probably don't justify that by the end of year, because we're 3 months into the year now. We're getting ready to start Q2 2026. So that means first quarter's almost gone. You've got this month. So we're actually only two months in, but you get what I'm saying. We're getting ready to open Q2. That means there's only 3 quarters left. If Ethereum is still down at these prices, the more time that goes by, the less those profit targets become probable. If that makes sense, right? Because we approach the market in probabilities. And those probabilities, those price targets are on the fringe. Like if you looked at it in terms of a probability belt or a distribution curve, a $4,000 target would be out here on end of year. If that makes sense. 32 would be better or more probabilistic, but still way on the outskirts. It's definitely not in the 68% where we want to operate as investors. Those price targets are nowhere near in that, I would say. I haven't looked at an options table to be like 100% clear on it, or but been doing this long enough to know that those are kind of on the outskirts of fringe territory, but it could happen. Anything is possible in this market, especially in crypto. Yeah, for sure. We know there is one particular huge item that could be very bullish right now, and it's a bill, the Clarity bill. That gets passed, and you could see a massive rally. Could, right? So we'll just have to take it 1 week at a time. But I mean, I don't like that it's losing the previous week highs. I don't like that. That's generally a rejection. I want to see prior week highs hold as support, just like prior week lows were holding as resistance, right? So generally speaking, let's get rid of all these lines so I can be a little bit clearer here. But when you're trending in a direction, right, you want to see those levels like hold. So even if I was a bear in through here and I was looking for bearish entries in this week, I would pretty much know that I'm right as soon as it starts trending under this price. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you take that out and start to trend, you're pretty good on direction. So that goes for the opposite way as well. So once you start to change the trend, as the trend is still down here, this low is still protected, but these weeks were all lower low, lower low, lower low. So this is the first week where you've got a higher low, higher high. Now we just need to see that continue on into next week, because today's Thursday. So this could still just be a pullback, but it's threatening the good stuff that you built this week already. Well, a lot of games are played in this market, so it could absolutely find support here today and get back above this level. But I'm just saying, when you lose prior week highs, you have to get back on the defensive when you're in a bear market. I think that would be the best way to say that. All right. Okay, somehow it just got reset and went all the way back to the top of the chat. Okay, there you go. There you are. Bitcoin rejecting hard on daily res retest. Yeah. That's kind of what I figured would happen. DXY looks strong. It does, and probably will keep that trend. Here, I'll show you. This is the data that I wanted to pull up anyways. So while this is happening, remember, we were in a rate cutting regime. So the markets were pricing in rate cuts. You can see by this chart that, like, literally each week that goes by, your cuts are getting priced out of the market. This, in my opinion, is a huge reason why we're seeing bullish price action on the dollar. As long as these probabilities keep getting further and further out in time, the more bullish that will be for the dollar. Especially because everybody has such a negative bias on the dollar right now. Even I had a macro bias on the dollar. But we needed to see this get taken out, because I specifically said last week, if this level holds and you get up into here, you're probably going to break out to the upside. And you did that because the short side of the trade was so overdone. It was a one-sided market. So in order for the market to even get back to being bearish, you've got to go flush out all those near-term sellers. You got to take those out. You got to get those gone. You got to give the market a chance to reset. It just got too overdone to the downside. And then also Trump backed off of his kill the dollar language. The last time Trump said anything about the dollar being bearish was on Air Force One, or, you know, the presidential airplane. When the press asked him, what do you feel about this negative dollar strength? And he said, it's great. Looks great. Love it. Love it. Most likely Scott Bessent or somebody in his administration pulled him off to the side and said, dude, you need to chill on dollar negative sentiment, because if you unwind that yen carry trade, you could single-handedly cause a bear market, because that yen carry trade has been on since 2020, 2021, late 2021. If you start to unwind that, then that means people are going to have to sell all of the assets they own with that carry money. So like literally because the carry trade was so good, people went out and got free yen and then turned around and bought Nvidia shares with that free yen. So if they have to close that free yen position, they're going to have to sell Nvidia. So that way they can close that yen position up. So something's happened, because the dollar was extremely weak. Then, Trump came out, said that. You had the market literally breaking down. We were short the dollar. Everything was good. Then it took like 3 weeks, 4 weeks of this sideways chop, and nothing, not a single word out of Trump to help the sellers continue to push this market down. They backed off. They were like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And now you're breaking out to the upside. So things could be changing a little bit here for the dollar. Now, Trump could fix that simply by making another, no, I seriously want lower dollar statement. Then obviously the dollar could carry on with the downtrend. But as of right now, it's definitely testing the top side of the range, right? The dollar is in a long-term range here. And instead of breaking down and continuing like we wanted to see, it came down, broke down, and then right back up, and then held support, and then right back up. And now you're retesting the daily 200 again, like you did over here. So now we're in another pivotal juncture for the dollar. If the dollar breaks out above August 2025 highs, this level right here, you could see a large move higher on the dollar. I would no longer be looking for bear dollar positions if it gets above 100 and continues, right? That's the whole thing. Just a wick above, then obviously if it falls back under 100, then I still keep the bearish macro bias. But you do seriously have problems here if the goal is to make the dollar go lower. Nvidia has broken out above pre-market highs, so wrong side on that one. I am no longer in it. I did get stopped out. That's where I have my stop. So yeah, it's done. Dollar does look okay. It's fallen short of taking out yesterday's high still. It doesn't need to go much further to do that. It's so close. But Wednesday's high is way up there. Yesterday's high is 99.32. If it takes out yesterday's high and then falls back down, the dollar might still want to be a little bit more range bound. I wouldn't anticipate a breakout just yet. But I mean, the fact that it's trading above the 200-day is a little bit risky, at least for dollar bear positions. I think dollar strength could, just because we have dollar strength, it doesn't necessarily mean that the tech market's going to roll over. But I was hoping it would help. But for some reason, as of late, it seems like dollar bullish trades have been good for S&P also. And as I said on the S&P, you're just testing support here. It is bouncing severely off of that level. So it might not be as a risk-off day as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit worse than this. Let's go look at the yen just to be quick and just see what's going on over here. Yeah, yen's down pretty bad. That's not. You're also down pretty good on the Swiss franc. So that's definitely not a risk-off look. So as long as you don't have a risk-off look in the yen and the Swissy franc, you got to be very cautious about bearish S&P 500 positioning. But if the dollar does not break out, it's going to hurt the silver trade, as it's still is not breaking down below that February opening price. So this is major support here, and really, because we've been in this short for a while now. It's 11 o'clock, so an hour and a half since the New York session opened, and they haven't been able to break it down yet. That's starting to make me feel like I'm on the wrong side of this. As I was on the wrong side of Nvidia, obviously. As there it goes. So, yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got to make sure your risk is mitigated. But anyways, let's go. Wes, says Nick. All right, when CBD is below 0, that is also a good time to short. I mean, I would rather be short on an asset that is showing negative deltas, correct. But the asset also needs to be weak. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want... So, like, the main reason I didn't take the short on Bitcoin today was because Bitcoin was strong yesterday, and I felt like that strength could continue today, right? Because Bitcoin was strong yesterday, I don't necessarily want to look for weakness today. So, like, if I'm going to put the short on, I would much rather be shorting a weak asset, or an asset that is showing you that the sell side is the better side. So, like, everything has changed on Bitcoin this week. We've already discussed it a little bit in the community. Maybe I didn't discuss it. I don't remember if I discussed this on the live stream on Tuesday or not, but I will real quick, just briefly. If you look at the CBD here, right, when Bitcoin was like bearish every other day, it seemed like you could get short Bitcoin and you would have made money, right? Well, also look at your CBD while that was going on. Well, I got to alt delete this tool real quick because it won't work as an overlay for whatever reason again. Just give me 1 second here. I really don't know what's going on with that thing. Let's see if it works now as an overlay. There we go. Okay. Do you see how the CBD, like all through this, all this price action, right? You could have been like every other day, it seemed like you could look for a short at the day high and you'd make money. Short at the day high, you'd make money. Short at the day high, you made money, right? Notice how the CBD leaned more to bearish days. When you did get bullish pops, they were so small, but the bearish pops were bigger, right? And there's just more of them. Just like through here, you don't even have any any upside deltas. It's all negative. So you kind of have that trend going on here. We're just very light volumes, but the volumes are clearly more aimed to the sell side of the trade, right? Now look at last week and this week. You only have one day here where it was negative all day. Next day it started negative, broke into positive, broke into positive. 1 day negative, positive. You see what I'm saying? There's a clear trend there where now, or at least the last 2 weeks, you see more deltas positively structured than negatively structured. So just because the CBD is negative today doesn't mean I want to go out there and throw a negative trade on Bitcoin. I said if I were to trade Bitcoin today, it would most likely be to the downside, but I didn't love the short because of what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis. I'm seeing the bulls are way more aggressive here lately. If that doesn't do it for you, I can come over here and show you, well, I don't have it pulled up here. I'll pull it up. There you go. So here's your ETF flows. So look at Feb 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a week, 1 week. You literally had 4 days that week of negative or outflows or bearish days. 1 bullish day. But this week, right? 2, 3, 4. Today's the 5th, so we don't have the 5th stated yet, but all of these days are not only positive inflows, but anything over 250, like here, 257, that is considered on the more heavier side of inflows. So not only is it more bullish, but it's heavily bullish, right? And look here, 24, 25, 26, heavy bullish pressure, heavy bullish pressure, heavy bullish pressure. And then on Friday, very light, to say the least, negative outflows. Then Monday, heavy bullish pressure. Then mediocre bullish pressure. Then yesterday, heavy bullish pressure. So when this is happening, you don't necessarily want to be an uber bear just yet. Now, if we lose this level, because to me, this is the line in the sand for this range, I do have more of a very near-term bearish bias, but I will be very selective in my downside positioning. I'm not just going to go out there and start winging shorts at every wick high. I will wait for a lower daily high, and if on that day deltas start out negative and are trending negative, then I would absolutely be willing to short that day's high. All right? But right now you kind of have this difference of opinions in markets where it was like every day was just sell, 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 sell. Now you're starting to see that shift a little bit to more bullish markets than bearish. The main structure of Bitcoin is still very bearish. And this bullish pressure that we've seen the last, few days, last few weeks, that could stop any minute now. And if we lose that weekly range high, it could stop then. Like that's what happened in December. Once you lost December's high in January, Bitcoin shit the bed. And then it was like 2 big, strong down days. And then you chopped sideways for like a week. And then you dropped. Something like that could be coming. So I'm not like all out bullish here. But I'm a day trader. So I have to take a daily approach to the markets. I can give you a macro view, but if we're looking to like get positioned correctly, I want to be on the side of order flow. And right now, order flow is more bullish than bearish. Even though the dollar is bullish, right? Even though we're seeing a strong dollar, we're also seeing bullish order flows in Bitcoin. This looks good for sell side trades. So maybe tomorrow, like if you continue to trend down today, and then tomorrow you start the day out pretty weak on any pop up, like any retest of this level, if you do have like slightly just barely positive or right at the zero line, that would be an actionable short signal, in my opinion. Yeah, because at that point, it would be worth the risk for me. Like it would be an actionable short signal for me, because at that point, it would be worth the risk to just go ahead and put the short on and see what happens, right? So we'll see what it does. I probably should have put the short on today, but I wouldn't have got filled. Like we've already discussed that. I just would not have gotten filled. I never chase price. I don't want to chase price. I do occasionally chase price because I'm human And sometimes the emotions do get the better of me as well, but I try not to ever chase price. Because chasing price is one way to guarantee a stop loss. If you get in at the wrong time, you're most likely going to eat a stop. And when I eat a stop on just the small public account, that's $30 a pop. You can eat 3 stops just like that and be down $100 in no time, and it ain't even 9:30 yet. You got to be very selective in your entries. You're pretty much with us almost every day, so if there's a short trade to take on Bitcoin tomorrow, we'll take it for sure. I will be looking for it now that we've lost this weekly range low. If it bounces back above this today and starts to trend back above that weekly range low, I will not be bearish going into tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see what we get tomorrow, I guess. This is the best way I can say it. But yeah, right now it does look like the bulls are at least making a strong case. But at any point in time, those heavy sellers can show back up. In fact, I would argue that they are showing up now. It's enough for me to start looking for the bearish pressure. And that's just because of this moving average. Just that alone is enough to have me looking for shorts again. As you could, excuse me, I got coffee hiccups. But as you can see, when you lost the average right here, you did not retest it there. Like, they front ran that wick. The sellers did. And then here again, they did not even allow a retest before they showed right back up again. So if these heavy sellers that were here and here, if they're looking for positioning again, then I promise you they are positioning here. Yeah. But it's those quick on the nose sellers. They might help propel Bitcoin to higher prices. Getting in just a day or two too early, they could be the exit liquidity that Bitcoin uses tomorrow to go higher. I try to look at the markets as like a day later is always better. Like, whatever Bitcoin is doing today doesn't necessarily mean it's what you should be doing tomorrow. So today will be important. This is not a big down day at all. If you get all the way back down to yesterday's open today, that would be bad, in my opinion. But since it's almost noon, it's 11:15 a.m. New York Standard Time here, right? You're still just a very small inside range day. This could very much be just a bullish pullback. And tomorrow you could see an up candle, right? Look at what the dollar did yesterday. So ignore today on the dollar. Look at what the dollar did yesterday. Same thing. Ignore this big wick. But look at the daily range. Look how big the daily range is. Look how low the dollar got. It didn't even make it to the prior day's open. It was so strong yesterday, it couldn't even get to the open. And now today, you're seeing that continuation. So the buyers were right here. That's where the buyers showed up today. Go back intraday. Here's your hourly chart. This right here made all the bears emotional. That big move right there. They're like, yep, it's going down. I'm jumping in a short. Now their stops are providing the move higher on the dollar. This is where we would have been buying the dollar in a perfect world. Like, if I was watching the dollar at 1900 hours last night and we were looking for bullish positions, I would have said to the Discord last night, I am getting long the dollar at 98.70 with a whatever pip stop loss. Literally, that's where we would have looked to be a buyer. So I still see that as potential tomorrow for Bitcoin if it closes the day out like this. So if the day closes, right, and this ends up being the low of day, when you open a new daily candle tonight at 1700 hours, any drop below this and failure to trend lower would be looked at as a buying opportunity. It's still very early in the session. You still got a half of a day of trade still left. So I don't know if this will be the low. Obviously, I doubt it will be. Hopefully it gets going back. The internet was strong, so I don't. This is probably a. Yeah, upload speeds are good. Download speeds are good. That was probably a hardware issue. Sorry about that. It looks like it's back and working fine now. So that something crazy went on there. But anyways, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you take out all of yesterday's range today, then I will not have a bullish bias tomorrow. But if you just trade down like this and then spend the rest of the day slowly grinding sideways to up, yeah, I'd still be a buyer tomorrow. Look how far you still are above the weekly VWAP. So even if Bitcoin trades all the way down to here today, that would also be a buyable opportunity. We don't know if the buyers will show up there, but so if it can't even do that, that would look more bullish than bearish. We'll see though. Still got a long ways to go today. So as long, obviously got that, read that. Adobe investing into data centers, AI hard. Yeah, they need to. They definitely got to if they want to stay relevant in massive AI environment. You think Bitcoin doing a fake rally just to dump back down to like, I do not. If you did all of that in like one day or something, then maybe I would say that. This feels more like an exhaustion of sellers. When I look at like liquidity maps and things, I usually don't, because I've been doing this a long enough time. I know where all the liquidity is just because of what price does. But I looked at those lows as mostly exhaustion. And when you get that exhausted and like most of the fear has run its course, it's mostly more of an exhaustion style move. And that's how I'm viewing this price action, as mostly an exhaustive style move. Now, with that being said, the higher Bitcoin goes, the more and more sellers it will attract. So as time goes on and as Bitcoin does do this type of stuff, it will attract more and more sellers. But if you look at the liquidity that you have to liquidate to the downside versus what you have still to the upside, is way skewed to the upside. So what I'm saying is Bitcoin could slowly grind up and down and stay range bound, but with more upside tilt or more upside pressure, because you've just literally exhausted all the sellers. Retail will always sell lows. I'm not talking about retail. I'm talking about the pros, the ones who are waiting for specific areas to get short again. Those guys. The higher it goes, the more of those people it will attract longer term. But yeah, I wouldn't classify it as a fake move. We're still in a bear market though. Not sure this rally going to make new highs. No. Yeah, I could agree with that statement 100%. If the bulls are able to protect these range highs, my next favorite area to look for a short is here at the February open. So I'll go ahead and tell you where I'm looking for shorts next. right? It will be, what does price do when it gets into this area? If it acts like resistance or does something similar to this up at February's high, I would be willing to short there as well. Yeah. If it can't even do that, I will also be bearish because of what you just said. Bitcoin is in a bear market still. So yeah. When you're in a bear market, your better opportunities are going to usually come on downside pushes. When is Bitcoin no longer in a bear market is subjective, but I use 30% as a guideline. Now, even though it's in a bear market, I still am a buyer here for the long term, for an investable 5-year to 10 years out window. I would be more of a buyer down here than a seller. But as an intraday scalper, I am still very bearish. You would have to get above 85K again to get out of bear market territory. And funnily enough, that also is really close to where your objective yearly open is. So if you get back above $87,000, you're no longer even bearish on the year, let alone in a bear market. So as long as you're below this yellow line, you can have a bearish bias on Bitcoin. It's absolutely fine. No one's going to say you're wrong because objectively speaking, you're right. Bitcoin is still heavily weak. It is still down massively. Not even looking at the all-time high. If we just look at where Bitcoin is on the year, it is literally down 19%, which 20% is bear market territory on ES and in Q. So you can objectively say that Bitcoin is bearish. Yeah, it is. Bitcoin and good alts are, but like, what's his name used to say, like Warren Buffett, the old boomer guy. You got to buy when everybody is afraid, right? You got to buy when there's blood in the streets. That literally means that if you're a long-term investor, you want to be buying bear markets. As irrational as it sounds, it literally is how you make the majority of your money. There are a lot of indicators, and I'm not just talking about technical indicators. I'm talking about risk on, risk off indicators that are literally saying right now that if you look at buying Bitcoin as purely a risk adjusted return basis, like as a money manager, Bitcoin is a very attractive buy at these levels. If you look at it in terms of a money manager, you would be buying right here. So, yeah, you can make the case. You might see new lows, and you could also say the low could be in. Unfortunately, it's just one of those scenarios. Nobody knows. Only time will tell. Time will tell us who's right, who's wrong. So that's why I like just operating in between. I don't need to be right and wrong long term. As long as I hit more than 50% of my trades, I'll be making money. Good to go. Direction is irrelevant. I'd rather buy Anchor and ZBC in here and wait for a year or two than buy metals up in the sky. I agree with you. Unfortunately, I cannot make a long-term base analysis call on buying silver here. I just cannot do it. And that might be influencing a lot of my near-term trading opportunities on silver that I've been taking, because silver is so expensive at these prices. Like, I started selling silver and gold in 2025, late 2025. I started taking profits because I own the metal. I own both. I own silver coins. I own bullion, right? So when it's breaking out and going absolutely ape shit, I'm buying. But once it got super volatile to the upside, I'm selling. I even quit selling because I know I won't get a fair value for my silver. My guy gives me 3% back off a spot, which, you know, is it the best deal you're going to get? No, but it's a normal deal. The last time I called him just to check, like, what are you doing now, bro? He said, no, I can't. Nope. It's going to be terrible. You just need to wait. It's going to be terrible. It will not be nowhere near 3%. So when your metals guy is telling you, I'm not going to give you a fair price for your metal, you do not want to be selling metal because you're going to eat a massive loss. And unfortunately, when things are that volatile, that's the way it is here in America. So I started taking profits way before it blew off. And now I'd say it's probably still hard to get a good deal on it. Pawn shops and just regular we buy gold and silver places, they're going to give you like maybe 10% back behind spot right now, because they're going to use it to their advantage, right? They know the market's volatile. They know they can't give you 3% because silver is fluctuating more than 3% every day. So he couldn't buy it from me at 3% and then make money on the trade. And he's not going to buy it unless he can make money on the trade. So usually silver operates at about 0.5% on a daily range. When you're moving 3, 4, 5, 6% per day, it is way too volatile. Yeah, it's crazy. Anchor and ZBCN, I'm assuming, are miners because of that statement. Bitcoin back to daily res, just like that. Yep. It went lower. Trade Talk, Bitcoin testing support. Let's hope Nvidia follows. Now, we know it didn't. I got stopped out of Nvidia. I'm okay with it. I'm fine. I lost $27 on that trade. It's all good. But yeah, this right here kind of gave me it just made me feel like I was wrong on the market. And I was. It happens. You won't have a 100% hit rate no matter what strategies you deploy. I'm later. I know. Hello from Brazil. What's up? Please, any analysis on Bitcoin? Please. Your closing dailies, finally. Yesterday was the first, back above the 21 exponential moving average. This is a good thing. You're also closing dailies, finally, back above the 50 on the RSI, which is a short-term, very near-term indicator that the bulls are in control of price. Now, this could be a bullish trap, so you need today and tomorrow to find out. But if you drop back under the 50 here anytime in the next day or two, you need to be very cautious, as you could see a run lower again. So there you go. There's your near-term Bitcoin analysis. If you're looking for 10-year Bitcoin analysis, buy here. You're going to make money. Most likely, right? But near term, it looks good, but can it hold? That's the question every market analyst is going to be asking themselves for the rest of the day and going into tomorrow. Can it hold? If it can, then I would assume that in the next 5 to 10 days, we will be testing February's open and February's high. And that's my analysis. How lower can Bitcoin go today if it loses support? The open of yesterday is how low it could go if it loses support. Would I take a trade here on Bitcoin and target yesterday's low? The answer to that is no. Absolutely not. Hopefully I'm answering your question, Jewelry Affairs. I would absolutely not short Bitcoin here and target yesterday's open. If we were going to short Bitcoin today, it would have been at 4-hour resistance, like I said earlier. then we would be taking profits now. We would not be hoping for another move down here. Right? So please do not short Bitcoin here and pray for the open. That is no way to be. Just TP'd USD CAD. Good trade. Good trade. Wes indexes auto buy. ETFs auto buy. 401k auto buy. Pensions auto buy. Correct. That's why it's very difficult to be a seller consistently on indexes and the biggest company in the world, Nvidia, because of everything Wes just said. Yep. Many people are talking about a 59k Bitcoin. It's possible. So a lot of people follow this guy on Twitter. I just followed him today. It was so freaking random, but apparently he's made a bunch of good calls, and so people will follow him until he starts to make bad calls. Will he make bad calls? Yes, he will. I've looked at some of his calls, and he is very, how do I say it in a nice way? He can be very vague. Let's just say it like that. For instance, oil in China just hit $100 a barrel. 60 days ago, it was $60. Do you know what that means? Could you get any more vague? Obviously, a new trader or even investor or anybody that doesn't live in China will not know what that means. So stuff like that is vague, very vague. Where else? I read another one that was very vague. Where's it at? This is a no call. A lot of his stuff is no calls, right? Put protection just hit an all-time record. This can only mean one thing. Another very vague statement that can mean either or. I can tell you as a professional, I do this everyday trader, what that means is people are scared and retail thinks the market's going to roll over. That's what that means. Will the market roll over? I don't know, and neither does he, and neither does anybody else. I can also tell you the opposite side of that coin is because retail is so freaking bearish. This can only mean you are going to see a massive short squeeze. Very vague stuff, right? I can make vague posts every day if I wanted to. But yeah, I started following him because he made some really good calls back when things were happening. But I've made them too, right? We sold on October the 10th. Like, I put a video out. I'm not going to try to find the video, but I'll just show you right here. It was a very, very simple call to make. He made the call on Friday. I made the call on Friday. This was way before I followed that man. I just followed him today, but somebody told me about him today and I had to go take a look. But anyways, we specifically put out a video that was a public video that anybody can go watch today on Friday. And I specifically said, I am going to be a seller if Bitcoin hits 111,049. That is not vague. I will be a seller if Bitcoin trades to 111,049 and rejects. And that's exactly what it did. And that's exactly where I put on my sell limit. That's exactly where I got filled. And then it rolled over. So yeah, he's good, but so am I. That's what I was trying to say. So if I'm going to puff up the old ego a little bit, like mostly all of your influencers, just TP USDK, read that. So yeah, it is possible. And this guy, I said all that to say this, Jory Affairs, many people are talking about 59K. His last bearish call on Bitcoin said 45K. We also have downside targets of 53K. And at the lowest edge, like blow off bottom type of stuff, capitulation around 30, and that would be the end of it. If you get under 30K on Bitcoin this year, Bitcoin is doing something else. Like, there's massive risk off. Because under 30K, you break a cycle that Bitcoin has never broken before. And that will be going lower than its prior bearish cycle. Every bearish cycle Bitcoin has had, it has made higher lows in terms of percent drop. First big drop, 90%. Second drop, 89. Third, 84. Fourth, 76. So 75% off is 30K. Any lower than that, you have broken a forever cycle on Bitcoin. You will be doing new things. And I would say something else is happening, so be very careful. 30K is a very, very bad price. I do not want to see it, but am prepared for it. I have puts on for 2027. If it does, I'll be fine. DXY ripping. I haven't looked at it for a second. It's actually pulled back off of the daily high since you've spoken that comment, but it was ripping at one point. It was ripping at one point. It did take out yesterday's high, but it looks like it's pulling back a little bit here. Just a little bit. Silver still is not falling though. That's what's killing me here. We're getting the dollar move that I wanted to see. That's not the right chart. This chart. We're getting the dollar move that I wanted to see, but silver, for whatever reason, cannot make a fresh low. It still hasn't made a fresh day low. I'm not talking about yesterday or the day before's low. This is Tuesday's low. We haven't even taken out today's low. This is today's low that you made at 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning. Right here. We've been looking at this for hours now, and it's literally refusing to break down below February's open. It needs to do that soon, and preferably while the dollar's making fresh highs. Otherwise, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to take my $600 and run. Well, it's $700 now, but yeah, I'm going to take my money and run if it doesn't break down soon. Good morning, says Tom O'Donnell. What's up, Tom? The 4 hour on Bitcoin looks so bad. Do you agree? Long term, yeah, it doesn't look great. Today, no, it doesn't look bad at all. The daily doesn't even look bad here. The daily looks fantastic, like it's going to go higher tomorrow. Yeah, this does not look very bad at all. These are very, very... So you took 3 4 hour periods to go 7%. You spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 4 hour periods just pulling back. You still have not taken out this last 4 hour candle's low. This is as sideways as you can get. As sideways as you can get. You are still trading inside of yesterday's last 4 hour session. You see that? If this 4 hour candle looked like this, then I would say, yeah, the 4 hour looks bad, bro. But it doesn't. It looks fine to me. It looks like buyers are showing up. I don't know that they are, so don't come out there and buy it, but it does look like they are. It is very much range bound here. You've done nothing. So if we would have shorted that, that's only a 2% move, 2.7%. That is a big enough profit taking target. We look for about 2%, right? So we would have been able to take profits on that trade, but it doesn't look bad. Now, with that being said, you're going to close 2 more of these before the day's out. You're going to get 1 more, or you just got it. So you're going to close this one, and then you're going to get one more after that. At 3 o'clock, you'll get a new 4-hour candle, and then when that closes, it'll be 7, and that will start your new day range. So after this one, you'll get one more. It won't look bad at all if that one more candle opens here, puts a wick like that, and then closes like this. I would argue that that's more positive than negative. Right? So it does not look bad. It looks just like an intraday pullback to me. That's all it looks like. Repo rate was low 10 days straight. Yeah, that's disgusting. I know. There is some credit risk out there for sure. I followed No Limit for a bit, but he's too dramatic and baity for me. Yeah, they all are. They're finfluencers. That's what they are. Their job is to get money out of your pocket into theirs. Most of those guys are going to be like that. Very vague. Very, I called it, right? Real traders don't really talk like that because we know that we don't know what price is going to do. But yeah, I just checked him out today. I'm going to keep him on watch, see what he's got to say, right? But I'm not going to take any trading advice from the guy. I can tell you if Bitcoin is going to be bearish if you're looking at, wait, what? I can tell you if Bitcoin is going to be bearish if you are looking for 60K, then 49K, then 36K. Real simple, real numbers. You can say you can look for those targets, but you can't know that it's going to get there, right? I can say that. Yeah, very simple. Look for these areas. Yeah. This right here is going to be the biggest price for us. For this community, this price right here. And right now, you still have not closed a single 4-hour candle under it. So as of right now, this still looks constructive. It still looks good. You're still not breaking below the 21. You've not gone back to 50 on your RSI. Everything here still looks constructive. It still looks like it could go higher. It does. It looks just fine right now. But that could change by the end of the day, by the end of the session. We'll take a look at it at the end of the session. Can you look at VIX? Absolutely. I can look at the VIX, and I can let you look at the VIX too. It is right here, top left of your screen. It is up. It is making fresh daily highs. If we go out to, if we go out to the daily time frame on this chart here, blue and white chart, top left, you're up on the day, but you're still trading under yesterday's open. So yeah, the VIX is up and it is very elevated. I consider the VIX to be elevated above $15. If you're above $15, you are elevated on the VIX. That's how I look at it. Some people might have a higher number than that. It's okay if they do. As long as you're under yesterday's open on the VIX, today is just a pullback. Because yesterday was a lower high and a lower low than the prior day. Okay? So yesterday, lower high, lower low than the prior day. It was also a lower close than the prior day. So if I was looking for trades on the VIX, trading the way that I trade, I would be more than okay with a short on the VIX at 24.50. But I would mitigate my risk up at like 25.90. And then tomorrow, if it doesn't break down today, because today's just trading inside of yesterday's range, it is an inside day candle, which is consistent with a pullback, especially if your trend is going down. And the weekly trend is going down. If I look at this on a weekly chart, it will be a blue candle. Now you are gapping up. You are still trading above last week's high, so it looks bad. But this week, you are trending lower. Lower highs, lower low, lower high, and then if Friday you make that lower low. But you might not. So that's the point at which I would cut off VIX shorts. So if the VIX breaks out today above this price, 24.39, I would be very cautious about shorting it, because it could be headed right back here. That would be the next level to liquidate on the VIX. So yeah, it looks bad, but it's consistent with a pullback today, because the last 2 days were lower lows, lower highs. Hopefully that makes some sense to you. But it doesn't mean it's done going down by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, if you close here, it's going to be a higher weekly close. And a higher weekly close is not good going into the next week. We want lower closes. See, this week right here gave us a lower close. This was your close, and then we got a lower weekly close finally. Then we got a higher weekly close again, which sucked, and then a gap up this week, which also sucked. So volatility is elevated and on a weekly time frame trending higher, unfortunately. But on the daily for this week, you have pulled back off the highs. And if I had to make a guess, I would say as long as you're below this, the probabilities are that you close under 24.39. But that's only, yeah, I can't say that with any certainty, right? All right, back to the questions. I can tell you if Bitcoin is, oh, I read that. You want to sell, or you'll want to see Bitcoin rip through 67,255 to completely disrespect. I don't know where you got that price, so I'll just agree with you. My price is 71,383. Crypto face? No, I don't know him. Recession could bring it below 30K, and I'm not him either. I have been told I sound like him a little bit, but we are two different people. A recession could bring it below 30K. It could go much lower. Yes. Yeah. If Bitcoin started to do a cascading collapse, it could go much lower. Absolutely. There is so much risk in this market tied up, and especially 100x levered longs. You've got 200x levered longs out there. MicroStrategy alone, you've already got one of the top 10 in terms of the amount of Bitcoin they own. Top 10 companies that tried to do the MicroStrategy thing. You know, the Bitcoin treasury companies. One of those top 10ers have already said they're going to start selling Bitcoin. They're already bailing on their dream of being a MicroStrategy. That's not good. If all of those companies start doing that, you could literally see Bitcoin drop like a bad habit, and that would be terrible. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they hold their positions. Like I said, when I said this low would be your near-term low for a while, at least 2 to 3 weeks, I said. At least. It's held. You have not made a lower low. And it's been more than 3 weeks at this point. So, statement confirmed. If you get under this and more people are forced to liquidate, it will head lower. Hopefully they don't sell. Hopefully they are strong enough, or at least diamond-handed enough. And hopefully they've done their research and they understand that the probabilities are that in 5 years, Bitcoin will be more expensive than it is today. That is the probabilities. With the prior data, if we look at what Bitcoin has done in history and apply it to the future, the probabilities are very good that if you buy Bitcoin here, you will not lose money. Okay? It's a very clear. I posted it. Makes it true, right? That's not how probabilities work, guys. Please don't mistake this for what it really is. It is just looking at past data. But it was kind of a joke, but it ain't kind of either. I'm also very serious. If you're looking at a probabilistic risk curve, If you are a money manager and you've been thinking about getting into the Bitcoin space with a small allocation of your clientele's funds, probabilistically speaking, with the data that we currently have, you have a 0% or 0.0% probability of losing money if you buy it today and hold it for 10 years. Think about that. You can't say that with any other asset that I know of, but it's because Bitcoin is new and has been consistently trending higher every 4 years. But if the 4-year market cycle ever does die, that would be a huge problem for this probability curve. Huge problem. I don't think it is, but I think Bitcoin, if its potential was truly realized by the rest of the world, Bitcoin would be trading for $500,000 a token right now. That's what I truly believe. I truly believe it because it's just a fantastic protocol. But that's just my opinion, obviously. You'll want to, okay, read that. NFP tomorrow. Yes. Thank you for reminding me, Wes. Tomorrow is non-farm payrolls. You will also get retail sales and the unemployment rate lopped in with the non-farm payrolls. And then Canada also is doing something there, but really, I don't care about that. If you're trading Canada or the loonie, then obviously this could be important for your positions. But yeah, non-farm payrolls tomorrow at 8:30. I most likely will not go live for that. Simply because there's not like, I mean, it could be a huge volatility move if you get massive unemployment or a huge spike. But because unemployment is expected to come in line with what you got last month, if you get within one tick higher or lower, I don't think that's going to do anything with price. And these numbers right here have been coming under fire for the last several months. So I'm sure people still want to know what's going on here, but they revise these damn things so often now that the last NFP print we got was a massive beat, and it literally did nothing. All right, it literally did nothing to the market. The market literally shook off, and we even beat on unemployment. We even beat. I think they were anticipating like a 4.4. We got a 4.3. So you had double beats on the last NFP print, and it did literally nothing. So, but a really bad number could cause some volatility for sure. That's another reason why I don't think Bitcoin will retest yesterday's open, because most of the people now are taking positions, or, going to be taking positions in preparation for that number. Usually when you have a big data dump coming or a big print coming in the next day, prices tend to get really sideways. I'm surprised things moved as much as they did today, to be honest with you, because the NFP is tomorrow. But S&P moved quite a bit. It did make a fresh daily low. And on the cash market S&P 500, you have a lower high, lower low on the cash market. You don't have a lower high, lower low on the futures, but on the cash market you do. Today's high is lower than yesterday's, and today's low is also lower than yesterday's. So today's close is going to be important on the cash market. If you close back up here, you will essentially be unchanged on the week. So, yeah, it's crazy out there. That's a big move that we got on Tuesday. Got to get it right there. That was a 170 point move. And that's just in one direction. 170 points in one direction. If you calculate what you did on gap down from Tuesday, Monday you closed there, the gap down, the push lower, and then the return back. You moved over 240 pips that day. I mean points on the S&P. Talk about volatility, man. A 240 point move. If you're only looking to scalp 10 points on a normal day, you could have taken 24 trades yesterday on the S&P. It's crazy volatility. Yeah, it's been moving a lot. Let's look at silver. Just literally punking me, dude. Just literally punking. Refusing to close. We got 1 hour left on this candle, man. Break down, you bastard. Dollar is strong. What are you doing? Tuesday's high 69 255.36. Oh, if Bitcoin dumps, rips, maybe you got auto corrected there. I'm not sure what you mean. Dumping and ripping are two different things. Dump rips right through it and closes, then you will likely see heading towards lows of range. Maybe, right? Dumps rips on Tuesday's high. So, oh, right here. Yeah, no. Well, I wouldn't say you would get down to the low of the range in one day. That would be a 20% move on Bitcoin. But maybe next week or something, you could head that way. Yeah, I definitely would not want to see it dump rip through the 21-day exponential, right? We don't want to see it lose that. If you have a bullish bias on Bitcoin, you want to see that level maintained. You want to see a pullback into it potentially, but then you want to see it hold. So tomorrow could still be a down day, and you could still pull back to the 21 day. It could still hold as support. Yeah, that's the problem we have right here. I think the weekly close will be important on Bitcoin, and I would love to see it close above that wick high. That is kind of my line in the sand. I don't like that we're back under it, but it's not the end, if you will. I'm not saying that if you close under this that it's going back down to here or anything like that. I'm just saying it would be better if Bitcoin could just keep support at higher prices. Show us demand is here. Because when you start to rip, when Bitcoin really gets good and starts to rip hard, like, you almost will miss it. It can literally just go up like 3-4 days in a row and go up crazy. Like, you'd be just sitting there watching it thinking to yourself, I can't believe I missed out on that. That's usually what happens when Bitcoin starts to rip. So it is kind of suspect, to say the least, that it did break through here and is retesting it today. But I mean, dollar did make fresh day highs today. It has since pulled back, but it's just pulled back to the prior 4-hour open, which it's still a very good looking daily candle. So yeah, Nvidia just chopping here. So it did stop me out and then just pulled back. That's what you get in these kind of markets, but it's still, the deltas still look very good for upside continuation later on today. So I wouldn't be jumping on a short here on Nvidia anymore. We wanted to see it roll over and make fresh lows. We did get the move we were looking for. It just didn't quite make fresh lows. So occasionally you're going to have that happen. That's just going to happen. Unfortunately, it's going to happen on silver too if dollar keeps rolling over. Probably see silver refuse to break down. If silver refuses to break down here, that's going to pull in some more diehard bulls on silver, because it's holding support. This is an objective level of support. As long as it's holding. And if, like I said, central banks, if they're still buying, silver could rip again. This is a higher low. It's a lower low on the weekly, but it is overall a higher low. It is, yeah. It might not be done yet. One would think you would definitely see downside continuation this week, especially since right now you're printing a bearish engulfing at resistance, or, you know, at the midpoint or the 50% retracement of the blow off top. One would assume silver's probably going lower, but it just is not. And because of that, we have to be cautiously holding shorts, cautiously. Matthew says, I'm long oil from 61 WTI. Let's go look at US crude WTI. I'm just going to pull up the US oil ticker as it matches WTI pretty closely. It's not perfect, but it's pretty closely. Also, I'm going to do it. Oh, I can't do it. Okay, never mind. TradingView doesn't offer a ticker on this. If I pull up the oil futures CL, like CL1 exclamation point, then it's going to be lagged data. And I'm not going to pay TradingView for data I already have. I have live data on these future contracts. So it doesn't make sense to pay extra money just for data I already get. But yeah, it looks really good. You're long from 61. That's down here. That's a good place to be long from. You objectively analyzed it. You realized that it was holding support here. And you saw the moving averages starting to make a bullish cross. Like, it was a good place to get long. It was. If you look at what it did the month prior to that, it was a very bullish month. This is when capital rotations started happening out of the growth assets into value. So oil got a nice push. Beautiful push. You took out multiple months worth of highs in 1 month. That is generally looked at as an exhaustion style move. So the sellers had control of oil for so long and they just could not break it down. They tried many times, they just couldn't. And then this goes and starts stopping out all these highs, and boom, you get an exhaustion style move to the upside. Good on you for identifying that. Good on you also for allowing it to pull back into $61, literally, and getting long. That is good trading, my friend. Good trading. I don't see any reason for you to close that, with this caveat. There is a war in the Middle East that is causing this aggressive spike here. All right. So you benefited from that. You might want to think about taking profits. I know I would be. That was a large move in a very short while. So if the US gets control of that port, or it's not even a port, it's the strait, I can't say it, Hormuz Strait. If they get it in control of that, and it then becomes safe for tankers to roll out, this will pull back, and it will pull back hard. So I would be, and the US has already decimated Iran's navy. So each day that goes on, the US gets closer and closer to being able to open in that strait. And they will open it. Donald Trump does not like bullish oil. It's against him in a very negative way if people start having to pay at the pump. He uses it all the time, right? As like his, as I'm so awesome, I got oil down, blah, 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 right? So he is definitely going to move heaven and earth to get oil heading back in the opposite direction. But he realizes there's nothing he can do right now about it. So be careful. Please understand and realize that oil is heavily manipulated and it is very much watched. The U.S. could dump a shitload of supply because we're net exporters of oil. So if Donald Trump wanted to, he could release some of our reserves to also suppress the oil price. But yeah, good on you. That was a fantastic trend. Identification, fantastic entry, fantastic patience, all of it. Great trading, bro. Great trading. All right, where should I look for TP? Well, I've already said I would be taking profits today. It's been straight up all week. Yesterday was literally the only day that you could call a pullback day or say is consistent with pullback price action because you didn't take out the prior day's low. So every single day this week, even the last day of last week, Friday, boom, breakout. Higher low, higher close, higher high. Higher low, higher close, higher high. Yesterday was the only day you didn't make a higher high, but it was a higher low, higher close still. And today you are continuing. I could see this finding a bit of resistance very soon. I have 2025's high right here. So that if I waited for that, it would be pushing it. You know what I mean? That would be the very definition of push your winner. However, you might not get there. You might not get there. So any minute, I would suspect oil pulling back. But as long as it's still chaotic in the Middle East and as long as oil tankers are getting shot at, oil could keep going up. So it's just kind of that, you almost just got to make a personal decision with it, unfortunately. All right, give a like for the best trader on YouTube. Thank you very much, Matthew. I appreciate that. I went long after trendline break on daily and also because I thought the war was going to start. It was a good call. It was a good call. Look at February. February was a perfect pullback into January's range. January was the breakout. So in theory, right, the way we analyze price, objectively speaking, as long as you're not trading under January's open, you could look for bullish entries for upside continuation. And you did just that. Fantastic stuff. I love it. Good job. Good job. You did it. You did it right. It held the 21 right here on Thursday, pulled back into the daily 21, and the buyers scooped it up. They scooped it up good. That would have been a fantastic reaction if I would have got long oil. You could have used daily demand as your mitigation spot if you were waiting even here, right? Because that's where it pulled back to. Daily demand right into the 21. That was a buyable opportunity. In hindsight, it's always going to be easier to see those opportunities, but if we would have been, I mean, we were live that day. I wasn't paying attention to it. Otherwise, I would have said I could be a buyer on oil here. But I wasn't watching it, unfortunately. I'm going to have to take profits on that silver trade. It is not rolling over, and it's starting to move too much. So I'm going to go ahead and take what I can off of this. I will leave a small piece on, however. But we want to take a partial. What do I got? 477 open. I'll take 70% of that. And I'll go ahead and since the current price is 82.27, it is a short. So I got to get filled on a down tick. I'm just going to put that price at 82.19 and see if I can get filled. Go ahead and take $449 of profit. And that will be added to the already unrealized gains that I got going on over there. Let's pull that up real quick, because I do not like this reaction. It is objective support. I was praying that it broke down and it didn't, so not gonna play with it anymore. 82.26, so I might have to chase it a little bit here. Might have to chase it a little bit. I'm gonna wait and see what it does when it hits the open. I'm not gonna chase it just yet. Hopefully it tags the open and then goes back lower again, at least low enough to hit my take profit. We'll see. And I can pull it up over here on this just to see what it's doing, kind of like on a 1 minute deal. Well, it's actually further away from the open on the other. Yeah, it's still a good piece away from the open. So this is that 4-hour open that I'm watching. You can see you're still way away from that here. You're much closer to it there. Much closer to it here. My take profit is right here, 82.19. Got 28. I need a 10-cent drop. See how it's range bound here on the 1 minute chart and making higher lows? So that literally means I should probably, okay, there we go. Good. Come on, 19. Come on, you can do it. Urgh. I don't think it's going to get to 19. I'm going to have to move it up. That tick is so close, though. That low is 21. So I'll move it up 2 cents. I moved it up 2 cents to 21. So if it just retests this low, hopefully it'll fill me. It's not a full fill because I do want to leave some small piece on just in case it fails here. Which it could happen, right? Because testing that yellow line, which is the objective 4-hour open, you will have stopped out all these near-term sellers. You just stopped all the near-term sellers out with that move right there. So if it continues to push strongly after doing that, then I'll have to chase it even more, unfortunately. But we'll see if it pulls back now that it's done that, and see if it can come down to 21, 82.21. See, this is the chaotic stuff that nobody can ever predict. Obviously, I cannot predict that I will get filled at 21 cents. I wish I could, because if I could do that consistently, like every time, if I could do, 5 cents, if I could predict 1 penny, and it doesn't even have to be money, if I could just predict 1 second into the future, I would be a trillionaire. Every time, because I would never be wrong. I would always know 1 second before price gets there where it's going to be or where it's going. Would be a trillionaire. You just can't. That's where the markets are absolutely free market still because of that stuff. And this is also because price does work like this. We are able to make profitable strategies in and around price. So this is the lowest low. If it doesn't tick it, there we go. So I got filled. Boom. There it was. But I don't want to close it, like I said, because what if it rolls over now, right? Then I would miss it. So I still have a little bit open. It's a small position, but the realized gains went up nicely. So made $1,000 almost on this trade, and the funding rate is still positive. So the longs are still paying the shorts. So as long as I'm sitting in this trade, I'll be making money. As long as I don't get stopped out, I'll be making money, even on the funding rate. So even if silver literally wants to trade sideways from this low to this high, if it just does this for the next 10 days, as long as this funding rate stays like that, I'll get paid. I'll get paid every 4 hours or every 8 hours. It's probably every 4 hours. But we'll see what it does. Obviously, I don't know what it's going to do, but I will add to it again if it does break down. I will not add to it as long as it's closing candles above the February open, because that is the objective price that is holding this thing up. We already know that. We already know that. For whatever reason, it is refusing to close any higher time frame candle under this price. I still like the way the deltas are structured here. They're still more negative than positive, but I do not like that for the last, 2 hours, the deltas stopped trending lower, and instead they have now started trending up. So for the last 3 hours here, you kind of have this, like, now it could spike to the upside. So would I buy this? Probably not, because it still feels like, with dollar being up and all that stuff, that the probabilities are more likely that it does continue to go lower. But with that being said, you've gotten 1 hourly. It's just, it's not doing it. It's holding. So it should have already broken down in real, like the way that I've been doing this stuff for as long as I have. Trades usually work out really quickly if you're on the right side. And silver is down today, but it's just down 1.7%. So that is consistent with higher elevations of volatility, because silver usually in a normal trading market, when volatilities are normal, barely moves. It barely moves. It is such a slow moving asset. People don't even like scalping it. They would rather scalp gold. But here lately, silver's been moving more than gold because volatility is elevated. So right now, silver is the favorite. But if it doesn't break down here, could be potentially looked at as a buying opportunity. But it needs to hold literally all day. If it doesn't hold at the close, then I would forget about it, because if you do close below it, you will be breaking down. Then you could get a sizable move lower. We'll see what it does. So I'm not going to close it, but I definitely had to take profits. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. Did they kill the Ayatollah? They killed the first one. Wait, and they did kill the Ayatollah, but that just fires up the warriors for Iran. It's not been official. Yeah, I don't really want to get into all that stuff, to be honest with you. I'm not a political commentator. I hate politics, dude. I hate the left and I hate the uber right. I hate both of the people that run this country with a passion, because they're just so fake. They are so very fake. Not all of them. There are good ones, and there are a lot of bad ones, though. This person right here was literally making a mockery. Yeah, a mockery.
The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at
Bitch
almost
is literally
7,000.
smiling. Like, you're in front of a congressional hearing. They just asked you about something else, and you're literally making a mockery, smiling because you know nothing bad is going to happen to you. If the country was truly ran the way it should be ran, for the people, by the people, you would be fired. If it had anything, if it was up to me, you'd be gone. That's why I don't get into politics. It burns my butt. I get so aggravated at these people. Both of them, I'm in the center. So I hate your left person and your right person. We should be able to get along, man. It should be so simple. But they got to make it rough. And it's them that are making it this way. So whatever. But yeah, I wish we weren't doing it. I can see the good, obviously, in getting rid of a terrorist, a self-proclaimed terrorist. Whenever, like, for instance, when Donald Trump starts saying stuff like death to China and Z, and then you see, I don't know, say 20,000 people standing in front of them and all of them saluting in the air, screaming, death to Xi and China, then obviously I would say the same thing about Trump. They were literally, and have been for years, screaming and chanting like Nazis, death to America. So it's hard for me to feel pity for that man and his regime. But yeah, as long as this chaos is happening, oil can be absolutely bonkers. Prices are soaring in Europe right now because they're a net exporter of or importer of oil. They need to buy it. So oil prices and natural gas, if I'm not mistaken, in Europe is just absolutely ripping. But natural gas over here is not doing much in the way of like, so right now oil and different sectors in different places is going to be very volatile. It isn't until we get back over to America and leave the rest of the world alone will the oil prices settle down. Be careful. You did a good trade on oil, so take your money and run. Take your money and run. That's what I like to do. Get it while the getting's good. Stay on the right side of the markets the best you can and take profits, and your account will do good. Bitcoin looking weaker here. I'm looking at it, and it hasn't even made a fresh day low yet. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? I see it. It doesn't look great. It looks like it's trying to make a fresh day low. It has made a fresh day low. So you just made a fresh day low at 11 a.m. It's been an hour and a half. It hasn't made another low. So you've been sideways for about an hour and a half. It doesn't look great when it's on the range lows like this. I get it. But you got to do a lot before it looks bad too. You have to do a lot more. If Bitcoin drops back below the daily 21, for instance, it'll look bad. It won't look good anymore. But the buyers could still show up. You have several areas of potential support here. The weekly, the monthly VWAP. The blue level's the monthly VWAP for the month of March. And then this is going to be your weekly. And the only reason they're not the same level is because obviously the month opened on Saturday evening and the weekly opened on Sunday evening. So you have 1 day of separation there on the monthly and weekly VWAP. So either one of these areas could act as support today, and it would still look okay tomorrow, if that makes sense. To me, maybe not to you, but to me, it looks fine here. You're not even retesting yesterday's midpoint yet. If you fib yesterday's range, you'll see that not only is it just a pullback, well, it does look like you did get it. Not yet, almost, right? Right, there's your 50. That's the midpoint of yesterday's range. So as of right now, it's just a very small pullback. The 382. So like in a bull market, Bitcoin isn't in a bull market, but when an asset is bullish, it's going to have pullback days. So if you fib, right, these ranges and you watch price over a long period of time, you will realize that it is literally consistent with a strong bullish trend to only pull back to the 236 or the 382. So both of these levels in Fibonacci terms, this one and this one, are still both looked at by the broader trend following community out there as being very consistent with upside continuation. Very consistent. It's when you get into the deeper retracement levels that things start to look a little bit worse for wears. Like, obviously, if you break below the midpoint and then the 618, then you can start saying, okay, what you had going on bullishly is no longer doing that. It is now much worse, or at least the pullback was a lot deeper than you would want to see. But in my opinion, as long as price is trading today anywhere in this whole block, okay, I would argue the point that this still looks okay for upside continuation. I would not say that any of this price inside this purple box would be considered a bearish day. Now, obviously, it is an objectively bearish day because you're trading under the open right now. But what I'm trying to say is in reference to trending prices, because these prices are trending. They have been for a minute. They are trending higher. You can put an obvious trend line on that. So you do, as of right now, have a very, very nice, consistent, bullish, near-term trend. And this pullback fits very nicely into that consistency. If you were to get down in here, but it's not because of the trend line, it's because of yesterday's range, then you could say, okay, this could be something else. This could be bad. This is a rejection of the weekly high range, which that's not good. And secondarily, not only was it a rejection up there, but you wiped out all the gains you got from the previous day. Then it would look worse. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Says every expert, and that talks about it. Definitely not on the news, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they've killed more than one of them at this point. It's getting bad over there, though. A lot of people are against this. I am one of them. I can see where it's justifiable, but at the same time, I'm glad I'm not the person that has to make that decision. I couldn't kill anybody. Why? I mean, as long as they're not hurting me or my family or my loved ones, I see no reason to bother them. And to be honest with you, most of the time, if you just ignore everybody, things will be better off. They will forget about you. They will leave you alone. If we quit inserting our business over there, if we just paid attention to our own and dealt with our own, they would probably chill. But who am I? I'm nobody. Bitcoin looking weaker here. Oh, read that. You will see this won't be over soon. I don't think it will be either. I do not think it will be over soon either. I am keeping up to date as to what's going on because it is my job to do so. I make decisions off of obviously political and worldwide news because it's obviously going to affect markets. It is affecting markets. It is bad. You would think that Bitcoin would have sold off when Trump announced that we started bombing Iran. It did. It sold off for literally 1 hour. 1 a.m. So the hour before Trump made the announcement, it sold off. Trump makes the announcement and Bitcoin's bullish ever since. It kind of seems like that's the exact opposite that it should be doing. This move is kind of suspect. I'll give that to you for sure. It is, but price is king. And if you allow price to, dictate direction and then you take positions based off of what price is doing, you would just have a better hit rate than for you to just look at this and randomly say, I think this is the high because I think it's the high, right? Take that stuff out of your trading, your account will start to grow. Just listen to price. Let price be your guide. It will dramatically fix your portfolio. I'm saying the military operation has been epic. Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty much one-sided battle, hasn't it? They really have not been able to defend themselves, unfortunately. Yeah, I'd be honest with you. If I just sold Iran a bunch of defense tech and the U.S. just came in and punched me right in the face like that and made me its bitch, I would be like taking a hard look at my tech. I'd be firing my radar guy and my missile block guy, and yeah, I'd probably be pretty mad. But obviously, no country's going to sell their good stuff. They're going to sell Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4 equipment. So Gen 1 equipment is not on the Iran battlefield from other neighboring nations or other world leaders, I should say. But I would definitely be concerned that my second gen or even third gen tech cannot stop a US jet. In fact, the jets that has been shot down, it was from friendly fire. It's so bad, dude. That looks so bad. But whatever. Nvidia now maybe going for fresh day lows. Yeah, and it did. So to be honest with you, this is that intraday volatility and chaos that nobody can predict. You know what I mean? My bias was right, but I did not make money from it. That's what you guys have, like most people need to understand. Once they understand that, and then they realize that they cannot ever predict what price will do, then they will start taking a much more smarter approach to risk management. And then when you do that, when you can objectively analyze what price is doing, and you're a really good risk manager, I can say with 100% certainty, you will make money long term in this market. I can say that with 100% certainty because nobody can predict what price will do. So therefore, some days you're going to be right and some days they're going to be right. That's why the markets work. Everybody takes losses. It's the people that take small losses. Those are the ones that prevail in the end. The people that take massive losses. And the reason people take massive losses is usually in one of three camps. I can basically tell you that if you're a losing trader, if you lose money long term, it is because you are in one of three camps. You either overtrade or you revenge trade, and both of those, overtrading and revenge trading, are both stemmed. The root of the issue is because you think you can predict the price. If you just stop trying to predict the price, you can get rid of two of the three account killers. But the third one is risk management, obviously. You are over-positioned, over-leveraged. You're risking too much money. Those are the three reasons why everybody loses in this business. If you just get rid of those, your account grows. Literally. It's been proven 1,000,000 times over. There is observable, objective data that proves it. Long term, you will make money. It's because of all these finfluencers out there that act like they did something. I called this or I called that. It's because of that shit while 90% of the retail loses money because they think those guys have some secret thing that makes them amazingly gifted in the markets, and they're not. It's a lie. It's literally a scam. You have been scammed. The inner circle trader does not know what price will do ever. Not even consistently. He cannot predict the markets consistently, ever. Never has been. Never will be able to. But yet, I see YouTube channel after YouTube channel using his stuff. It's like the guy publicly went and lost money publicly in a competition. He has already been proven to be not profitable in the markets. And you have millions of people trading his philosophies and strategies. Think about that. It's bad, man. I tell people I'm looking for this target, and I'll have like other people tell me it's never going to go there, blah, 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 blah. And that you just can't make that statement. You cannot. You do not know. I love it. It's so funny. To pro traders to see people do that. It's like, okay. Huh? Anyways, euro dollar looks like it's found a low. Yeah, this, I can't do anything about it. It's over. I lost that one. It's all good. Made money on silver, lost money on Tesla. Made money also on euro dollar. Let's go look at euro dollar real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. So I shorted euro dollar earlier this morning just because it was making lower closes at the time. This right here was a volatility spike. Obviously, I thought this was brought on by news. I thought I had missed the trade. Yesterday, we were talking about shorting euro dollar up here. We didn't love the idea of shorting euro dollar because it had such a massive move Monday and Tuesday. So we kind of expected Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday would be sideways, right? Because of this move. It was huge. But generally, when you have a huge move like that, the next days are going to be choppy and sideways. You could say that is accurate. Yesterday was very choppy and sideways. Today, you did make a fresh low, but now you're trading back off of that low. So you are no longer trending lower on euro dollar. You could later, maybe, obviously, start trending again, but as of right now, you're not. But if you got short today, around the open of today's candle and targeted yesterday's low, you would have made money. So when this happened, I was not short. I got to the market, or got to my office is at 6 o'clock in the morning. It traded right back up to here. So I put on a short, right? If it can continue to close lower bullish candles under this close, I will short it. So as it traded up, wicked up into this area, I put the short on. And I was targeting yesterday's low. Boom, 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 boom. Right there. Take profit, hit. You can tell that I'm not the only one that took profits there because of what the market's doing now. So this happened at 10:30. And since 10:30, you've been chopping in this whole area. And that is because when this went down and hit that low, me and about 5 billion other people in the world took profits. So that caused a bunch of buying pressure. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But it's bouncing off of yesterday's low. So literally, that's all I'm doing. I do that, and I win some, I lose some. But my losers are always small. And because of that, I can make money long term. Made $450 on silver today. But that trade, to be fair, I put it on earlier this week. But the trade itself is made over $1,000, or almost $1,000. And I lost $30 on Nvidia. So the trade that I did not get right, I lost $30. The trades that I did get right, I made 1,000. It's math. It is simple math. This trade right here did not make nowhere near that. I put this trade on with a very small account. It made just like $8. The account has $120 in it. So what do you expect, right? I'm growing the account, right? I'm showing the world that you can grow a trading account with very small money, because money isn't the issue for you guys. Even if you don't have money, because you can get funded, you can get prop money, you can go get your license. If you can prove that to anybody that you can make money. There are people that will give you money for them. You just need to prove that you can manage risk. You need to prove that if I give you $10 million, you're not going to blow it in the span of a month, right? There are thousands of people that will give you untold amounts of money to trade for them because they don't want to do it. It's simple. Money's not the issue. The issue is putting together a track record. No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that hard work. But if you do it, you can change your life. And I'll end the day with that. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad that you guys are here every time. I do public live streams every Tuesday and Thursday morning, every week. If you want to learn how to do it the way that I do it, just show up. I teach it all for free. I don't hide anything back. If you want a more nuanced relationship with me, if you want to be able to talk to me 24/7 and have every question answered, there is a link in the description for my Patreon. You can literally come. It's less than $1 a day for a month, right? It's a donation. I do not enforce anything. You can do whatever you want, say whatever you want. I can help you try to turn it around. All right. As long as you do what I ask you to do, you can do this successfully, and then you can manage your own money and you can grow it slowly, or you can become a money manager. You just got to take a couple tests and bam, bam. Thank you, man. Bob's your uncle. And then people will just give you money. You don't need to have a lot of money. You just need to know how to manage risk. If you can prove that you can do that, you can get a job as a trader. You do not need to have money. But first, you must grow accounts. You must be able to prove it. You need to have data. All right? And that will take time. But I can help you get there if you have the patience. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.